Hello, and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner, and over there's Matt Murray.
Hello.
Over here is James Farley.
Hello.
And is that Sean Bell over there?
Am I still last? I've been back 3 weeks now.
Yeah, but you started another project and you're working on that, aren't you? So you're not a full-time member. You know what I mean? Part-timers get mentioned last.
I was going to say, you never gave the others shit like this for doing interface, but you did every week. So yeah,
exactly.
Fair enough. I've seen this coming, really, shouldn't I?
Have you calmed down from last week? Because you got a little bit.
Have I calmed? Well, it depends, though. Have you stopped misreading my tweets on purpose to wind me up?
I mean, I literally quoted the tweet.
No, you didn't know at first, did you? You didn't at first, though, did you? And
then you were screaming, "Why are you lying? Why are you lying?" Which I think is a bit rich coming from you.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
Why is that?
Didn't you spend a month a year ago telling everyone that I shit myself?
Yeah, that's
you
true,
made
though.
that up.
That's true.
Oh, was that true? Was that true?
Yeah.
Oh, like the time you text me about saying, "Oh, there's too many women in games now. They need to stop." That's true, isn't it, Sean?
Right. Do I need to answer that? No,
that wasn't true. Because I'm a man and I can admit it. No, that's not the phrase to use. You know what I mean? I'm quite dead. That will come out wrong. Welcome to the Computer Game Show. We're going to be talking about computer games for the next couple of hours, guys. You all up for this? You all up for that?
Yeah.
Just 2 hours. Yeah, sure. Okay.
E3 a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? E3, Matt, what did you think of it? Like, what happened after you listened to the podcast? But you returned to the internet after having some time off. And what was the first thing you did after we stopped recording last week?
So the first thing I did was I went downstairs and I just turned my TV on and went to the YouTube app. And I mean, this is gonna touch upon some of the things you guys told me last week. But yes, I went to the YouTube app and basically I just went to all the ones all the recommended things, look at all the thumbnails, just to see all the big announcements, and then. After like 15 minutes of that and just like having a fag and having to calm down, I then watched.
Fag?
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I was implying. And after that, I then watched a Nintendo conference, and I was so close to also starting Ubisoft, but at that point it was like 2 a.m, and I was like, I better go to bed. But
Jesus.
And then I was lying in bed, and then I suddenly realised one of the things you told me hadn't appeared in the YouTube results, and I was absolutely livid. I mean, I clocked one of your lies fairly, pretty much straight away, actually.
Because you just obviously went on Twitter and noticed that you weren't a meme. Like that's
yeah. I think actually one person did is I checked. I actually must have checked the Twitter.
Exactly. Hey, I worked out that you did lie, guys. How did you work that out? I looked it up and found out that it wasn't true. All right, okay. So it wasn't anything to do with connecting the dots or anything.
You didn't work it out while you were on the show, Matt. Just like later.
No, so that's a point to us.
I mean, in terms of the whole meme thing, like I obviously re-listened to the show again, and I didn't really say much. Arguably, I mean, I was sort of like blindsided. I guess I didn't really think about that meme thing. I wasn't like, oh my god, I'm actually a meme. This is amazing. I'll be famous. I just didn't think about it because I was way more focused on the games and the lies about the games. I didn't really even anticipate that.
That's what makes it really tragic, is that we did something quite mean and didn't even get any good material out of it.
Whoa, right, okay, so
I didn't have a reaction. I was like, okay, let's just move on.
You don't know the background stuff, right? When I suggested that as an idea of something to tell you, they were going, nah, that's too far, man. That's too far. How is it mean? I don't understand how...
It was too much. Because we all know...
Explain that.
Okay, we all know that Matt wants to be famous more than anything else. And as witnessed from his from his streams and all that kind of thing and the shenanigans he gets up to on there.
Famous. That's just me taking things too far for a laugh.
So I just thought it was a bit mean, to do that to him, to make him feel like he'd achieved what he's always wanted. And
you could turn around and say, oh, right, I understand your point. It didn't get a big reaction, Sean. I totally agree with you there. But also, I can say that for a moment, I managed to convince Matt that he was a meme. And I think that is quite an achievement. I think that's quite an achievement, personally. Okay, if it didn't work out, that's your opinion. But for me, I was quite proud of that one. I had it. Of course, the main lie was Splinter Cell. And
that was the worst.
Before we go into that, let me just say some of the stuff that was going through, the build up to that, because we really struggled coming up with a lie, and Sean and James were really trying to convince me not to lie. But I thought, no, the whole point is that we've got to chuck something in there. And we were thinking, right, so it's got to be big. So, when Microsoft acquired all those studios, At one point, Sega was one of them. Right?
Oh, you know what? I think because I looked at Twitter obviously, and I think you tweeted on the night we were recording saying what lies should we chuck out. A couple of them were like announced some Sega stuff. God, that would have been. That would have been way more crushing than a Splinter Cell.
But we figured that you wouldn't buy it because it was just too much what you wanted.
Yeah, you figured it. I really wanted to do it, James, and you voted against it. That probably
would have got me thinking, hang on, this is almost too good.
And then James, James was insane. James would suggest stuff, convince me to do it, then bottle it and change his mind, and it was sending me mad all week. The worst was, listen. What if we did announce Half-Life 3? And I went, no, he's never going to go for it. He said, no, but you think about it. If we announce it, right, and we do it properly, he's going to think there's no way they would even attempt this. It must be true. And I'm sitting there going, shit, yeah, I mean, really, that's such a blatantly obvious one. Surely he's going to work out. And by the end of the day, I'm going, this is it. We're going to do Half-Life 3. We're going to do it. I've got a thing worked out in my head now. The way we're going to do it, this is it. This is the lie. This is the one we're going for. And then James was like, nah, let's not do that. I'm like, fuck you, James. Stop fucking around with my head.
The E3 thing, I guess if I actually announced it, you either basically don't announce it, but then you miss all my reaction, or you announce it and expect me to go, ha, nice one, lads. Yeah, okay, Half-Life 3.
And to be clear, Dave mentioned that me and James were saying maybe we just shouldn't tell any lies. That wasn't out of kindness. That was more like between Gears of War Funko Pops and Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Nintendo doing 25 minutes just on fucking Smash Brothers. He's not going to believe any of this anyway. It's fine.
We were also hoping it was going to kind of drive you mad as well. You know, like trying to work it all out. You know, like
but you kept quite a level head.
I had a plan, but yeah, in terms of the Splinter Cell, so yeah, that was crushing. So I maybe checked Twitter, download Twitter, checked Twitter, looked at the tweets. I wasn't a meme, whatever. I then went downstairs, looked at YouTube, looked at all the thumbnails, and I watched the Nintendo thing, and maybe I looked at some other recommended things before going to bed, and I was lying in bed. I was thinking, hang on, I don't actually remember seeing like the thumbnail for a video about Splinter Cell, and I had to go back downstairs, checked Twitter, and I was like, oh my god, that was so perfect. And so basically, my tactic for catching you guys out was, I thought, one, you never get anything over me. It's just easy. All we've got to do is keep asking questions, right? So for a lot of the games, I was saying, what's the studio? When's it coming out? I was asking way more questions. I thought all I had to do was ask like 2 or 3 questions about a lie, and I'd easily get you. But the fucking Splinter Cell one, you had so much detail. I think I wrote down some notes. It's absolutely perfectly done. So one, it was a detail. You had so much. Dave, and also you're all playing your roles, if I can say that. Dave, you're loving it, and you're saying that our other group with Chet and John, everyone were loving it.
Yeah.
Sean, you said you hadn't played it, which was obviously understandable because you said it's Xbox, but you knew stuff. In like the way you know stuff, even if you haven't played the game, you just knew stuff. James had issues with it, of course, but then James said something about
we literally worked that all out. Yeah, you're literally reading the spreadsheet that I sent James.
And that was brilliant. Was like basically James mentioned a dart that he liked or something, and you were like, "Oh no, James, do you know that you can take them off?" And you're like, and James was like, "No, can you?"
Right, I'll stop you there. I literally said to him, James, You say that there's a dart that can track you, and I'll say, oh, do you know you can look in the mirror and take it off? And you'd be surprised by that.
It was worse than that. There was a script. There's a script, and like he was like, he sent it to me. He was like, James, you've got to study this before we record. He's like, don't just do it on the night. You've got to memorize it and all this kind of thing. It was ridiculous.
It was the interaction between you guys. It was a detail. At one point, I mean, I've listened to that section like 2 or 3 times now, and at one point, basically, I go, so no single player, no Sam Fisher, and it's battle royale. So in what way is this a Splinter Cell game? So I sort of was putting things together, but I was still just so in love with the idea.
Well, I thought you got me when you went, who developed this?
Oh, yeah, again.
Ubisoft?
Yeah. So basically I'll say, later I wrote down notes, later I asked what the studio is, but no one really knows other than Ubisoft. And even then, I was like, I thought, okay, well, Ubisoft, whatever, you know. So I was asking the right questions, but you had so much detail. You all were saying so much about it.
That's what I was proud of.
I didn't genuinely. It was such a brilliant lie, because I didn't
genuinely, it wasn't so much that like, oh, we got you were so confident you were going to catch us out that we knew that it had to be something to get you insanely pumped, or the other angle was to basically create a game and spend like 10 minutes on it. Like, you know how, and this isn't, I'm not having a pop, but you know how when you lied to me about Perfect Dark, it was so quickly
it was
Perfect
so
Dark and then move on, right? What I wanted to do was to not only convince you that this game existed, but that we'd played it and that we were having it. But like, we were talking about it for 10 minutes while it was going on. James was texting me, "He's working this out. He's working this out. Move on," right, which I didn't see until afterwards. But like, it was. I was so proud of that, and people have said to me as well, I'm genuinely gutted that the game isn't coming out because it sounds amazing. And I'm like, we've got to send this to them.
But yeah, nail it in. Splinter Cell Survive is a brilliant idea and someone needs to make it.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, I genuinely think what was brilliant is that it was like a design meeting, wasn't it, in that WhatsApp group? Because we were literally creating this game. We had all the rules sorted out and we were all going, oh yeah, okay, what happens if this happens, though? Oh, yeah, what's like... we're going through it all. At first, it was called Splinter Cell Mansion, and we said that's a terrible name for a Splinter Cell game. And it was set in a mansion rather than a tower block. But then we were talking about what's the equivalent of the circle closing in. And then that's when you start going, okay, well, if it's many floors, they can get filled with gas and stuff.
Is such a great idea.
I know. I'm a genius. How am I not making millions from computer games?
Yeah, it was devastating. Like, so I was gutted not just because you got one over me, but also I wanted the game, but I think it was a great lie because I was so adamant that Splinter Cell was nailed on to be unveiled this year.
That was the other thing.
So I guess you were like, so obviously your plans before, and you were obviously hoping that they hadn't unveiled something. So what would you have done if they had announced the Splinter Cell game?
Well, there were other options as well. I mean, we had the Sega one, but there was also the new hardware as well that we floated the idea of.
I was dead against this one. I was dead against this.
We were going to go for an Xbox Surface, and this was going to be like an Xbox tablet, kind of thing that was going to come out.
Because they did sort of talk about this a few years back, didn't they? So we thought maybe that because I know you keep track of this stuff. So it'd be like, oh yeah, fuck no, 3 years ago they mentioned they were doing this. That makes sense. Yeah. But yeah. Bottled it.
Thinking about it now, we should have gone with Oculus now works on an Xbox One X.
Oh, fuck.
That would have been quite good.
That might have worked.
Yeah, I would have gone for that. So was that it? Was that it for the two?
Sorry, Matt. You sound so confident, but you were confident before we dropped two big lies, and you
No. I said I probably would have believed that.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. Fuck.
So was that it in terms of the lies? Just Splinter Cell and the meme thing?
Yeah.
No, we all. The only other lie was that we all genuinely really loved Nintendo's conference. It was. I cried. Yeah,
yeah. That was fair. I had to watch that. One because it was short, but I was just surely it can't be that bad.
It's really long if you watch the best bit, Matt. It's good.
Oh, yeah, I skipped through that.
So, what did you make of the conferences then?
It's such a weird thing. It feels like I've sort of had to watch Christmas through a lens. I haven't really had the same emotional reactions as I may have done were I to watch these things live, of course. But I thought overall it was good. It was a solid year. It wasn't a mind blowing year. There weren't
any games stick out.
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously got absolutely shitloads of notes. I mean, how do you want to do it? I mean, basically,
just give us an overview.
We
can't go through every game again. I'm not going for another 4 hours.
It looked fine, but there's absolutely nothing there for me at all.
It was a poor showing.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
It was a poor showing.
Although going to Land and Air looked cool. Halo Infinite, right? So it's got all the things I said I wanted. It had like the music, it had the helmet, but just I don't know, something about that trailer didn't feel right. It just felt like someone making what they thought a Halo trailer had to be.
Well, this was. I mean, go on, sorry.
It's not that much different from the one that they did a few years ago where Master Chief was wearing a scarf, right?
Yeah, I don't know, maybe it's because I wasn't there at the time. I don't know, but I just watched it and I thought it just felt flat, or maybe because I knew about it beforehand.
Yeah, you knew what it was beforehand, I guess.
Captain Spirit looks amazing. Splinter Cell, day one, of course. Forza Horizon, it looks amazing. The Gears stuff, I mean, whatever. Division 2 actually looks surprisingly excellent.
Yeah, it does look good, doesn't it?
I thought the last 5 minutes where he talked about like advanced AI, and like console quality gaming on out to any device, next generation Xbox architecture, but also Cyberpunk with it, I thought was so well done. I love the fact it sort of cut out and then it had like this sort of code on screen. I thought that was a really fucking excellent way to reveal the game.
The lights all went out and the lights come up again, and Gabe Newell was on stage, and his line was, "It's time." Then the Halo, the Half-Life 3 logo flashed up behind him, and that was the end of the conference. That was my idea of the announcement.
Yeah, we're just going to have like the lambda symbol up there, and that would have been it.
Yeah, just like, it's time.
I'll come back to my thoughts overall in a minute, but there's some more things about Xbox I want to cover. Devolver, I thought that was brilliant. I mean, I loved it last year. The joke still worked, and I thought it was funny. Ubisoft was great. Beyond Good and Evil 2 looks good. Still don't really know what that game is, but whatever. Trials Man was funny because I basically love a fake trip, and he did that.
The what? Who?
You basically can't beat someone doing a fake trip up.
What you talking about?
Was good.
Well, the guy like came and like tripped up and like smashed through like the podium and stuff.
Oh, I didn't see that.
He properly sold it. It was good.
Yeah. Bethesda, the Andrew WK intro was weird, but and Skyrim Alexa was funny. I think they played it well. And also earlier they said about like thanks to our partners at Canada Walmart or whatever it was. I thought that was well done. Sony. Now this is a weird one because obviously when I listened to the pod and when I was on the pod, you all said, "Oh fucking hell, it's just a bit of a disaster." And I think in terms of an actual conference, definitely. But I don't know, the games that spoke to me more. I mean, Last of Us 2 looks fucking incredible, of course. Even that Ghost of Tsushima looks excellent. Controlled by Remedy, I'm psyched for that. Death Stranding, it was just a guy walking around, but for me, it had just the right amount of intrigue. I mean, I actually don't want to see anything else about that game now because I'm not sure what else they can show. It could be another gameplay trailer that might be disappointing, but I thought that was cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else. Resident Evil 2 remake, you guys totally skipped past that. That looks absolutely class. I thought you would have gone more mad about that.
Yeah, Andy was very upset at us about that.
Yeah, but the problem is that, I mean, all right, James said that he was a fan or whatever, but none of us are like, the three of us, we're not really big Resident Evil fans, are we?
Yeah, I mean, I like it.
What can you say about it? It's a remake.
I like it, but I'm not a super fan. It's like, it looked good. I mean, yeah, it looked good.
Yeah, we're not disparaging the game at all. We didn't turn around and say that it looked shit or anything. It's just, it was one of those games that I'm not quite on board with. And
it's a bit of a blind spot for us, unfortunately. But
yeah, I mean, I obviously don't do super well horror games, but Resident Evil 1 and 2, and arguably Nemesis, so they were like three massive games growing up. And I'm really excited to see what that's like. Spider-Man looks stunning. I'm not in Spider-Man or superheroes, but it does look great. And that was even when I was watching my 1080p stream. But all of that, like Microsoft had loads of games. Like, they had tons, and arguably it is a better showing, but loads of other games on Microsoft things look fine. But like Ori, Fallout, Metro, Kingdom Hearts, Sea of Thieves DLC, Forza, We Have a Few, Tomb Raider, they all look great and fine, but I sort of feel like I prefer the Sony's like version where it's just basically
this is exactly what we said last week.
I'm not arguing against, I'm just giving you my opinion.
But you said, but you guys repeatedly. You're just repeating what we said.
Okay, well,
and then acting like we didn't say that.
But it did feel like you totally slagged off the conference.
It was shocking. It was a shocking way to hold a conference. Am I wrong?
No, exactly. But the games were good. That was what we were saying.
The games were very good, very good. I mean,
the games were amazing.
Last of Us looked incredible.
I think I'd rather they stick with 5 or 6 games with really deep dives to really show like what his games are about.
Matt, so do we. Okay, but what they shouldn't do, what they shouldn't do is a 15-minute interval.
Like I could skip
when you're watching it. Exactly, you skip through it. Like we had to sit there for 15 minutes thinking, what the fuck is going on? Like, what's going on? It's just bizarre. That shit was just bizarre. But
also, so with Control by Remedy, there's absolutely shitloads of Quantum Break in that. I mean, I'm not sure how much you got. I don't think you guys have played much Quantum Break, but it felt super, super Quantum Break. But obviously, it's Remedy.
Another thing we mentioned last week. But go on.
Yeah, well, but I don't think Dave had played it, and neither had Sean. But yeah, it looks super, super Quantum Break, which is not a bad thing. And then Nintendo, I mean, Fire Emblem looks great, I guess. Fortnite and Smash Bros. It's just super disappointing, but I guess if you're in Smash Bros, it must be absolutely amazing. But
that's the thing. Is even because I mean I'm sort of on and off with Smash Brothers. Like, I'll probably get it, but I just felt that even as someone who's like, like the way they presented it was literally just for people who really fucking like Smash Brothers. Like anyone who's sort of casual would have just been totally turned off by it. That was sort of what wound me up.
See, the thing is though, is I like Smash Brothers, but even if I think if it was any game that I'm really, really into, like imagine if at the Sony one they'd have done that for 25 minutes with like a new Yakuza game or something, I wouldn't have been happy with that because I wouldn't want to know that amount of like detail and everything. I think it's a bit much, you know.
And if it was, we've changed this one attack animation so that it's got 3 extra frames, and then we've also added this costume, and when you equip this, it just no. Even if for a game I really like, I don't need that.
It's one of the worst things I've seen, like Nintendo do. Like seriously, absolutely one of the worst things I've ever seen them do in a Direct. It was awful.
You not played Steel Diver?
Yeah, but they didn't do 25 minutes of Steel Diver, did they?
But they would if
did several hours of it, mate. It was quite a long game.
I thought Sea of Solitude looks fantastic on EA stuff. I thought that looked so good.
Yeah, that's good.
And the rest looks fine. But I also, that The Adventures of Captain Spirit. I obviously love Life is Strange, but I saw a trailer and I thought, fine. I mean, that trailer basically, I could have seen a screenshot saying new game in the same universe, and I would have had the same emotional reaction. I'm going to play it. And I've already got.
Did you play Farewell episode?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
I mean, did that not just like spark that? Because Farewell
I know they're a great
genuinely
studio.
incredible.
Yeah, I know a great studio. I know it'd be great, but I don't know. The trailers didn't really do it for me. Obviously, I've got it preloaded and I'm downloading it when it comes out tonight, and I'm excited to play it. But I don't know. The trailer didn't really do anything for me. Really,
you're a man.
I'm sure it'd be fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Feels like a good year to miss.
We've got unfinished business. Also, I forgot to mention at the start of the show before we move on. Sorry to break it up in this weird way, but we did want to say a massive thank you to everyone that's pledged towards our Kickstarter over the past 20 days. It's been unbelievable. We've been blown away by your response. By the time this episode is out, there will be 9 days to pledge to our Kickstarter. Go to kickstarter.com and search the Computer Game Show. We've got 2 t-shirts for sale. Once the Kickstarter is over, so 9 days from when you're hearing this, if you're listening on the Wednesday that this show comes out, then that's it. We're not selling t-shirts after that. You can only get a t-shirt through this Kickstarter campaign. So please, if you want one, make sure you're in there before the deadline, because there's not going to be an opportunity to buy them after that. But if you have already pledged, it's blown our minds how good the response has been. It's been brilliant. So thank you very much. Sorry, just whack that in there, but I was supposed to say that at the start of the show, but then we got too excited about Matt talking about E3. And also, we're a little bit excited to go over our predictions and find out which one of the 4 of us has won E3 this year. And I'm already looking at my notes and I'm freaking out because I've got ticks next to ones that I think are right. They're all up for grabs. This is how it works. Everyone has to agree. Not everyone, obviously, but there's got to be a majority vote to agree to give someone a point for their prediction. Some of these are going to be a little bit... I think they're going to be contested. I think there might be some arguments, but what we're going to go through now is all our predictions one by one, and they're going to be in the order that I've got them written down, so they won't be in the order of the show. But are you ready?
Yeah. I don't think I got a single thing right. I'm just going to say that now, but we'll see how we go.
Well, then your task is to try and get as many points off of other people. It's like when you're on your last life on Onrush.
I know that whatever I'm going to claim, you're going to dispute. So yes.
Okay, well we'll see. Right, EA then. James, we didn't do too well this year, but I'll tell you that up front. James, EA. I've put a tick next to this, but I think I fucked it up. You said Battlefront 2 Battle Royale.
Yeah, that didn't happen.
Didn't happen.
No, it didn't happen. No,
it was Battlefield, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Battlefield, sorry.
Yeah, that was weird. Oh, and by the way, Royale. Why not
it's bizarre. Then prediction 2, you didn't have one. Yep. Me, Drake will appear on a promo video. That didn't happen. Prediction 2, new IP Battle Royale game. That didn't happen. Matt, prediction 1, Skate 4. No. Prediction 2, we're going to see Respawn Star Wars game.
I mean, I think it got mentioned. I think that's...
No way. No.
Did we see it?
There's no way you're getting that.
What happened? See or mention it. I mean... Did we see or hear it? Or was it in discussion?
No, we heard people talk about it. We didn't even see a logo, Matt.
Yeah, that bit so reeked of desperation, didn't it?
It did.
I was like, just anything, please. We're desperate.
Yeah, you cannot get a point for that, unfortunately. Oh, you're all right with that? I thought you'd be arguing.
I'm not all right, actually, Dave. But I'll move on.
Sean.
Yeah.
Burnout.
Yeah.
New Burnout.
No.
Didn't happen, did it?
No.
And that was Microsoft. That was EA. Sorry, so didn't go too well.
No.
Right, James. You predicted that the first game they'd show us is The Last of Us 2. It's 1 point for James.
The
first game they
Sony,
showed us was
clearly.
Last of Us 2.
Yeah.
So what did I say?
Microsoft.
You didn't say anything.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, right, okay. The last game they'd show us is Horizon Zero Dawn 2. So you got nothing for that.
Yeah.
Prediction 1. Releasing cheaper version of PSVR.
Didn't get that.
That's still ridiculous.
Prediction 2. PS Now added to PS Plus.
No.
Me. First game, The Last of Us 2. That's a point for Dave. Last game, Spider-Man. I mean, I said that as a joke, but there you go.
Unbelievable.
Prediction 1, Shenmue 3 gameplay footage. Didn't get that. Prediction 2, official PlayStation Pro controller. Didn't get that. Matt, first game, The Last of Us 2. That's a point for Matt Muzzer. Last game, Death Stranding. Nope. Prediction 1, Horizon Zero Dawn 2. Prediction 2, what?
Siphon Filter 2 comes back.
Siphon Filter 2. Yeah.
I mean, that was a long shot, wasn't it?
It was. But next year, Sean.
Sean?
Yeah.
You said the first game they'd show is The Last of Us 2. Well done. You did get a point. You said the last game they'd show is Bloodborne 2. That doesn't exist.
No.
So, prediction 1, knew that game company game?
Yeah,
Didn't see one, did we?
No, we didn't know.
Bizarre. And a new Armoured Core. That didn't work out.
Never does, mate.
Microsoft, James, the first game they show is Halo 6.
Yeah.
No point for you there.
Yeah, you see, okay, this is the one I knew you were going to do me for, because it's got a different name. So you're not letting me have it because it's got a different name.
Sorry, did they show us... Well, let me ask you
They didn't show us a game that was named Halo 6, but they showed us a new Halo. I should have just said a new Halo game.
Yeah, you should have done, James, but
you should have done. But you said...
Oh, that's ridiculous.
You said they're going to open with Halo 6. And they didn't open with Halo 6.
If I could go back in time, I'd say a new Halo game. It's the same thing, Dave.
I told you at a time.
If we could go back in time, we'd all change a lot of things, James.
Yeah, I wouldn't do this podcast for a kickoff.
What if they'd have gone, opened with Halo Wars 3? There you go. That's technically Halo 6, isn't it? It's another Halo game.
How is that anywhere near the same? It's not
a pivotal example, Dave.
Yeah, but I'm getting the reaction there, Sean. This is where you just let me work.
Yeah, I know, but now I've fallen victim to your fucking wind-up.
Me
and James are a team again now, Dave. This is what you've done.
Oh, so should he get a point for that, should he?
Yeah, fuck it.
Oh, leave off, Sean. You don't believe that. I don't believe that. You should have said the new Halo game. You said Halo 6. You got it wrong.
I see what you mean. If you just said a new Halo, that would have been vague. If we'd allowed that to be that vague, that would have passed. But he did say Halo 6.
How about like a half a point?
No, you were doing this last year, Matt. How about half a point? No, half a points don't exist. You either get a point or you don't.
It's ridiculous. How would I have known that it was going to be called like the exact name of it?
Well, it's just a new Halo game.
Right, Matt
but then you never would have allowed that.
Right, okay, so I said that they would end with new Halo game. And I'm pretty sure Matt said at some point, Matt said Halo 6. So, yeah. As well. Okay, okay.
I say you should get a half a point.
Yeah, sort of.
Well, you're not keeping score, so that's a shame.
Well, no, but it's a vote, isn't it? Sean, what do you think you should get half a point?
No, we can't get into half points, man. It's
thank you, Sean. Thank you.
It's our podcast. We can do what we want.
Thank you.
Next time you get one of these, Sean.
Thing is, if you start introducing half points, it makes it too easy for everyone to just compromise, and then there's no show in it. So it's
oh my God, Sean gets it. How do you boys not get it? I'm not surprised that you get it, Sean. I'm surprised these boys don't. That's what I'm saying there. Right, okay. Last game they show is Forza Horizon 4. So what's that? Quarter of a point? Do you reckon? Quarter of a point for that? Because they showed it somewhere.
Quarter of a point. Yeah.
Prediction 1. Cyberpunk exclusive to Xbox for a period.
It's not, is it?
James. I said at a time, stop being so specific.
Matt laughed. Matt laughed and went, "Why are you so specific with this? Why are you being so specific?"
Jack, next year, right, I'm just going to be incredibly vague about everything. I'm just going to be like,
but then that's the game, isn't it? Yeah. You've then got to get it through the system of people saying that that's not, like, you've got to tighten it up a bit. That's it. You just went straight in and just went, Cyberpunk, exclusive to Xbox, and
you also told us the pre-order bonuses.
Fuck off, Matt.
Prediction 2, Banjo-Kazooie returns, no point. First game, Forza Horizon 4, no. Last game, new Halo, that's the way it's done, James. Also, no point.
not letting you have that next year.
That's the way it's done.
Yeah. Prediction 1, someone will fall off the stage. Didn't happen. Prediction 2, Spencer will have a PUBG related t-shirt on. Yeah, that didn't happen. He just had one t-shirt on this year.
He did. What was on the t-shirt? It just seemed like a load of assorted shit.
It looked like I remember taking note of what it was at the time, but I can't remember. I think it was like a taken apart Xbox pad.
Yeah, it's like a pad,
pad. Something like that. Matt, first game, Splinter Cell. No,
hang on, that did come up at some point.
Last game, Halo 6. That didn't happen. Prediction, Crackdown 3, out now. That prediction didn't even make it to the show.
I was talking about the creative director is out now.
Oh, right. I see. Okay, I'll give you a half a point. Prediction 2, new Perfect Dark. No. Sean, first game, No Man's Sky next.
Yeah, mate.
Okay. Last game, Free for Free, but not new Halo. No, nothing for that.
Yeah, I don't really know what I was thinking there. They're never going to drop it. I mean, literally, it's in the name of the fucking studio. That's the...
They were established to do just Halo games.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, Sean.
I'll do a new Imagine Babies port.
Sean, I'll be honest. Reading your predictions here, are you sure you didn't have your first ever beer before recording this one? Because prediction 1, sequel to Blinks the Time Sweeper.
I mean, that was might not have been entirely serious, but imagine if I got it right.
I want a kebab.
Prediction 2, Crimson Skies. So nothing there for Sean. James, right, on to Nintendo now. First game, Smash Brothers, no. Last game, Star Fox Grand Prix, definitely no. Prediction 1, Mario Odyssey, New Kingdom in fall. No. New Labo sets. Fuck yeah, they didn't even mention Labo.
Nothing.
Bizarre.
Not even they often do the little recap of what they've done really well at that year. There was no mention of it, which is odd.
No, it's swept out.
But that would have only cut into Smash Brothers time, Sean.
First game for me was Pokemon. Mm-hmm. Last game, Smash Brothers. Get a point for that.
Yeah, I think you got 25 points for that, Dave.
I'm pretty sure they're still talking about Smash Brothers. Everyone just turned off by now, you know what I mean? Prediction 1, someone will be dressed as Yoshi. No. They'll mention how many balloons have been popped in Luigi Balloon World. I think right now they're trying to forget Luigi Balloon World doesn't even exist. We'll get to that in the news. Matt, you said first game Smash Brothers, last game Pokemon. Oh no, Pikmin. You said, sorry, I read that wrong. Prediction 1, Metroid gameplay. Nope. Prediction 2, new F-Zero. I mean, I like that prediction. I like it, but it doesn't work.
They'll be there every year.
Sean, first game was new Yoshi.
Nah.
Didn't happen,
Didn't
mate.
even show it.
No. Last game you had it down as Smash Brothers.
Well, there you go. Another 25 to me as well. Wicked.
Not bad going. And then you said 5 minutes plus on the new Splatoon DLC. That's a shame, innit? Yeah, I mean, if it would have been 20 minutes, if they would have reduced Smash Brothers down to 20 minutes, then maybe. And then you said Fallout 76 on Switch, and that certainly wasn't announced.
If I'd known it was definitely online, I would not have done that. But here we are.
So these are the results. Then, are you ready?
I know I am, but yeah.
In joint last place is Matthew and James with 1 point.
It's a tough year.
Wow. Okay.
It's ridiculous.
The problem is we predicted a great E3.
Yeah, that's assuming. If you look at it, right,
that's the problem.
We were really expecting goodness, and that's why we had all that stuff down there, and we got.
Can someone please get a photo of James somewhere and then put a quote underneath it saying "We were expecting goodness, James Farley 2018." Now, if that doesn't meme, I don't know what will. In second place was Sean with 2 points.
Yeah.
And in first place was your old boy, Davey T. 3 points, the winner of E3. Thank you very much. I'll take that. Who won it last year? You did, didn't you, James?
I did, yeah. I was less specific last year, I think. So
I don't think we did it the year before, did we? We didn't do the prediction.
I remember I won one, and it was a surprise to everyone. So we must have done.
Oh, maybe that was that one then.
Yeah.
So the only one that hasn't won an E3 yet is Matt.
Yeah.
Next year,
because I always predict goodness, and it doesn't always appear.
See, it's sort of good because I'm not really that fussed about missing it next year now. Unless
really?
I mean, law of averages. Next year should probably be a fair bit better, but.
Well, yeah, and you've got to remember that
next year.
we've just finished with E3. By the time the next E3 rolls around, it's like at the end of a World Cup, you go, I am never getting excited about an England football team ever again. Yeah. And then within a week of the World Cup, you're like, we're going to fucking win it. It's coming home.
Euros.
Yeah, so that was it. That's our E3 coverage done. Thank God. Sorry. We will be back with that again next year, as usual, with Sean missing E3.
Yeah.
Are you already a little bit worried about it?
No, I'm all right. I mean, see how I feel like the week before, as you say. At the moment, I'm not really that fussed. I'm more intrigued as to what you guys are going to make up. Like, I can't think.
Oh, don't do it, Matt.
No, I know. I'm already trying to outthink you, and it's entirely pointless. But yeah, it's just interesting.
I was thinking the Super Ouya.
Yeah,
something like that is coming
Ouya
out.
2, yeah.
The New Year.
No, I think 2 will work better.
Okay, all right. And that's it, right? So, I mean, did we have much feedback from last week's E3 show, Matt? Have you covered that?
No, we had some more. I mean, basically, a few people saying about the format we were doing is great. I mean, obviously, video game, I don't think did it this year, but there was something for them to do next year, no doubt.
Yeah, you gotta love CJ from Player One podcast, man. He bigs us up every year for E3, and it's really appreciated. Also, I listened to the E3 show, and it was great as well. So, go and listen to that as well. Yeah,
it is amazing. Like seeing tweets, people saying that we're up there with people like Giant Bomb and Kind of Funny, and yeah, it's always good. I mean, we.
I'll be honest, Matt, I listened to Giant Bomb's E3 shows, and this was much better. I mean, the Phil Spencer interview that they had, obviously. The Phil Spencer interview is genuinely worth listening to. It's really good. Did you
listen to, like, the last night is always hilarious because they always have, I can't remember. Basically, the studio that does the Killer Instinct ports, and the Adam Boys, who used to be a part of Sony, they're always on the last night, they're always hammered, and it's always a good show.
I love genuinely listen to the Phil Spencer interview because there was 3 things that really stuck out. The first being that he didn't want to announce Gears of War Pop on stage, and he didn't, by the sounds of it, he didn't like the idea at all. He's genuinely really pissed off with Sony about this whole lack of crossplay thing. Like, that's what come across. And also, he kind of hinted that Crackdown 3's done. They're just freaking out about when to release it. So they basically said, let's push it back.
But, you know, what's that? The news says otherwise, but we'll get to that.
But that's. I mean, that's what it sounded like when he was talking. It was weird.
Yeah, I should get into it. Yeah, so I didn't bother. I mean, I know I normally have like 30 hours of Giant Bomb and stuff, but I didn't bother this year. I listened to the Kind of Funny ones because they're all pretty short and good. But yeah, I've missed all the Giant Bomb coverage this year, and it is what it is. It's a missing year, but we'll be back in full strength next year, no doubt. We had Adam Black tweeting saying, "Hats off to you lads. The level of detailed bullshit about Splinter Cell was admirable, and Matt Murray was well suckered." Rick A. Brook, just listen to the podcast talking about the Sony show section. I can't believe the lads called multi-award winning musician Gustavo Santaolalla 12 times Latin Grammys, 2 times US Grammys, 1 Golden Globe, BMI Icon Award, 2 BAFTAs and 2 Oscar Academy Awards, playing a sublime rendition of the iconic The Last of Us theme. You called him a fucking banjo player. Shocking.
Okay. Was he playing a banjo though?
Yeah, I mean, it technically wasn't a lie, what we said. It wasn't incorrect.
You didn't give him the gravitas this guy, Gustavo, clearly needs.
Did they actually introduce him by name?
I don't think he cares.
I don't reckon he cares either. I will say, we didn't introduce him by name, Sean, but also I don't know who he is. There you go. I don't know. He's won all those awards and shit, is he? Right. I don't know who he is. So to me, he's a banjo player. All right. That's it.
Yeah, I will say, all those dreams bits were like funny, but they never really led up to something. It would make sense if they were all like teasing,
baffling.
Like if they were like teasing a dreams reveal, but they just like they were that and it was done. I mean, I thought they were quite funny, but it was
I don't even
weird.
know what dreams is. In fact, actually, this E3 really did. highlight my ignorance towards a lot of stuff. The first being, yeah, I've no idea what Dreams is. I've never heard of it. So even when Sean was talking about it, I was like, okay, fair enough. I don't know what that is. The other thing being, I had no idea what cyberpunk was. Like when you first started talking about it, because Matt, you went, oh yeah, cyberpunk. And I was like, was I supposed to know what it was? And then, so in my head, it's like a really, really old computer game that they're bringing back. But it's not, is it? It used to be a board game or some shit.
It's a pen and paper role-playing game, yeah, originally.
Right, it's a role-playing game, right. Yeah. I looked that up and I read that and I was like, oh right, okay. But then why is everyone... Like, because there was a lot of people that was like, oh, they've really nailed cyberpunk. And I'm like, what? With like pen and paper and that? What have they... How have they nailed that?
But you haven't heard about it being teased and it's coming and...
Yeah, there was a teaser trailer, like, what, 4 or 5 years ago, something
ages
like that.
Ago.
Yeah,
but it's all been, you know,
it's been
there bubbling under.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
Because it project for like a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, like that teaser came out, and it was before Witcher 3 came out, and everyone was kind of excited by the teaser, and then Witcher 3 happened. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, this is the fucking best game ever made," and then everyone sort of retroactively went, "Oh my god," and they're making a cyberpunk game, and that'll probably be fucking brilliant. So that's
God. I know the developer, obviously, and it's very exciting no matter what they're doing, but I was just really surprised by it, because I thought this was, and maybe it is a huge brand that just hasn't touched my, you know...
It's one of those things, it's like, obviously, like you had to be a nerd 20, 30 years ago to really know a lot about it. And yeah, so I'm surprised that everyone's so... Like, you know, outside of people who saw the teaser or whatever, like people who seem to know about the pen and paper role-playing game, I'm surprised there are as many of them as there seem to be. I thought, I played it as a teenager, but I never really, it was like me and 3 of my mates. I've never really, it's not something that's come up since, like, oh yeah, remember that was good. I don't really know anyone else who played it, and yet, it seems like a lot of people did. Don't know, it's weird.
So, I love the reveal, as I said earlier, but I haven't actually listened to or watched any stuff about the actual demo. Or what coverage have you guys heard or listened to that I should watch to hear all the detail? Because I haven't heard anything about it. It's
funny, on IGN this week, Joe Screbbles talks about how he has no idea why everyone is suddenly going absolutely crazy for this game based on the demo that he saw, because he saw that demo. And then goes on to say what happens on the demo. And by the time he's finished, everyone in the room is going, Joe, this sounds incredible, mate. What are you talking about? This sounds... Well, yeah, but, you know, I don't understand why it's being seen as the best game ever. What you're describing sounds insane. Yeah, and that got me way interested in it as well. Yeah, and I think they talk about it on Beastcast this week, or Giant Bomb 1 or 2, and that's worth listening to.
Yeah, I need to, because even the demo, I was like, holy fuck. I mean, that made me want to play The Witcher 3 just to see why people are so excited about it. Because obviously they've played a lot of Witcher 3 and they know that in like a cyberpunk modern setting it could be mind-blowing.
Well, it's not so much that. It's the fact that the thing with Witcher 3, like for me personally anyway, is that I didn't really like playing that game. Like I really didn't like the combat that much. And yeah, I got to some difficulty spikes that seemed impossible to get out of without knocking the difficulty setting down and stuff like that. The thing about The Witcher 3 is the characters and the writing is incredible. Like, it's incredible. That whole, I mean, everyone references it, but the Bloody Baron quest is, I mean, you left open mouth throughout the whole thing. The stuff that it's doing is just incredible. Like, it's so well done. And that's what excites me about this game, because I'm not a fantasy guy. Like, I'm not into sort of fantasy settings. I don't know if I've mentioned that.
Okay.
So this world is more appealing to me than the fantasy setting, and I still really enjoyed The Witcher 3, although it was set in around themes that I don't usually give a shit about. The writing was so good that it dragged me in. If they can take that quality and put it in a world that I'm interested in, then I'm sure I'm going to absolutely love this game. So yeah, I'm pretty pumped for it. But I know that it's a while off, so I'm not going to get too excited about it.
In terms of dreams, I mean, like Jeff and Giant Bomb. God, I haven't listened to Giant Bomb so long, I've actually forgotten his surname. But Jeff and Giant Bomb, he like raved about it 2 or 3 episodes ago. It's like the VR thing by Media Molecule. I guess you know now.
Not really. Okay. Right. Okay. So, any other feedback?
Oh yeah. Basically, Woodfella15 enjoyed this episode, disagreeing with pretty much everything you said, but Dave's "he's not EA Sports" line went underappreciated.
I do that. The problem is, I'll tell you why that didn't go down well, because I do it all the time. I totally overuse that. It's now a proper dad joke.
There's obviously tons of good feedback, one of which, Adam Capone, still working my way through it, just about to start a Bethesda conference section of TCGS. Still easy, the best way to do an E3 podcast. I'm constantly on edge, blah, blah, blah. That's not, the content of that tweet isn't the important thing. The important thing is that Adam Capone is listening to the show, even though we didn't we didn't have to apologise for not using his game.
No, he followed me again, and he's back on board with the show now. Because he knows he can't stay away, and he knows that, that idea for a game was rubbish. So,
Aaron Ashmore, I watched everything about E3 and suddenly panicked I missed a Splinter Cell Survive beta. Jake Snape, I still avoided all E3 coverage, decided to catch up along with Matt on the computer game show. The game I was most excited for, Splinter Cell. Fucking fuckers. Rob McElroy, or McElroy, I think that's how you pronounce the name. Sorry, Rob. Even I watched E3. I watched all of E3 and I was still excited about Splinter Cell. So you call out a lot of people. We had loads of other feedback about the fact I finished Dark Souls. So that was...
what a way to end as well. I mean, it was, if you've not seen Matt's final Dark Souls stream, it's on our YouTube channel, and it is well worth watching. It's incredible. Like, it was a brilliant stream from start to finish. It was funny. Matt did it dressed as one of the characters from the game, and his reaction to beating it was just too good.
The best bit of that was when he looked like a polo. Because it had the hole going through him.
Oh yeah, that's so annoying. I had to turn the green screen off because the fucking that outfit was not cheap, but I think it was worth it for the one stream I'm going to use it.
Yes, it was.
I was absolutely sweating my tits off. But I finished Dark Souls. It was amazing. It's one of the all-time best games ever, isn't it?
Yes, yes, it is.
That's a fact. Anyway, Bino emails in, good evening, gentlemen. The last time I offered feedback, it was based on streaming. This is no different. I just watched Matt finish Dark Souls. A great moment for us all, as I'm sure we'll agree. Great for Matt to have finished his journey. Great for us who have watched week in, week out, seeing Matt's moods reach the highs of overconfidence of thinking he'd get the extra hit in, to the dismal lows of reaction of summoning over Ornstein and Smo. We've all been there the whole way. It's been quite a journey. So when the credits were rolling and Matt thanked people on the stream, it was a nice touch. I was mentioned second. Please emphasise this for a Scientologist who Matt forgot until we read in the chat. I was mentioned second. However, this is not what the feedback's about. It was about a name, a very important name that was missing from the people being thanked, and that name was David. Now, as we all know,
he's not wrong.
As we all know, David is too modest a person to bring us up himself, so I feel I have to do so. As the second person you thank, Matt, you're welcome. I feel that you really should have thanked David. David is a person who ultimately convinced you to give Dark Souls a shot. Dave summoned you to Dark Souls. Everything you have done in Dark Souls, the whole stream, every minute you loved and we loved of you playing Dark Souls, was David's idea. Not only that, I am certain it was David's idea that you actually stream this as well, so we could all enjoy this. Again, David is way too modest to say this to you. He might agree with a statement, but rest assured he will feel a little bit embarrassed to do so, being the humble man that he is. Please could you rectify this by thanking David for everything? This will mean the world to David, as he doesn't have to say so himself. Also, you didn't thank James. Even though James is not the person who came up with the idea, James is the man when it comes to streaming games. Had it not been for James doing the Cage stream, I don't think the stream would have happened at all. James doing the Cage streams will be on quite a few people's first experience of TCGS streaming, and Matt streaming Dark Souls has simply picked up the momentum. Basically, you didn't thank your own team. That's not very nice. James might comment on this, but David won't. Again, this is not why I'm sending this. I'm shining a light on unsung heroes. You didn't thank Sean, though, since he streams another account. Thanks for the email, Bino. The moment I started thinking, I'll thank people, was a massive mistake. Actually, I planned the end in as much as I bought the outfit. I bought a £4 helmet off Amazon and painted it over 2 weekends. I'd done loads of streaming bollocks, but I didn't actually plan the second I finished it. I just didn't actually think about it. So I didn't think about what I would do, what I would say, and when I thought,
you just happened to have a bottle of champagne next to you.
No, I had that, but like,
I didn't plan this, but there's a bottle of champagne sitting right.
It was Prosecco. I had the Prosecco ready. I had the outfit, etc., but I didn't actually plan like leaving an ending speech. Was a thank you thing, and then when I started thanking people, I was like, I've made a huge mistake. So I'm forgetting, like, I'm not even going to do it now because I've forgotten loads of people who are there every single week, and I forgot you, Ben, regardless. I just got totally lost in the moment, and I was also sweating so bad I thought I was about to pass out.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks, David.
Right. Yeah. That's
Thanks.
all right. I mean, I weren't going to mention it, but obviously the fans picked up on it, and they thought it was out of order. Do you know what I mean?
No, yeah, thank you, genuinely, because I was so intimidated by Dark Souls.
Matt, Matt, you're very welcome. Okay?
It's a good game, isn't it?
It's a good game. It's a very good game.
We had loads of other tweets thanking me. Thank you, everyone. It's been an amazing stream, and yeah, that's that. One other final bit of news. Dave's having a baby. But more important than that, Michael Fox says he's available to take over hosting duties.
Finally. The king returns.
Yeah.
Congrats, David.
Let's nip this in the bud right now. Well, this isn't going to do that at all, but I genuinely don't know what I'm doing yet. I've not, it's not even, well, it has crossed my mind, obviously. I'm not going to lie about it, but I don't know what the deal is. I mean...
You mean in terms of the show?
In terms of the show, yeah. I mean, I'm going to think about things and...
Yeah, we've got a while to think about that. I mean,
we got a little while, yeah.
Got a while to pack this thing in, so that's
December the 31st. Oh, no, let me make this bloody clear, right? Because I saw a few people saying this as well, right? The show's not ending. Right? There's no way that this show is not continuing past that. So if I have to leave for a bit, or if I decide to leave like forever, right, then the show's still gonna. These boys are gonna carry on doing the computer game show. That's right? I
was going to say. I mean, you've not discussed this with us yet, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was over.
Why would you think it's over? Genuinely,
I don't know. Just
like fucking about aside, why would we end it like that?
No,
it seems like there's so much more to do.
I've been already thinking about your replacement, Dave. It's fine.
Go on. Who are you going for?
I'll go for Jim Sterling. I think it'd be hilarious.
Oh yeah. I'm sure.
No, I mean, I can see why. I mean, because between the two of us, Dave, like a child arriving generally means a show ending. That is a tradition we've established.
I guess. But, it is. Yeah.
But no, I mean, I think we. Yeah. No, I think.
Yeah.
I think
there's
right.
enough of us to continue it. Yeah. I think. So the 31st of December is the...
that's the due date. So you'll be here for the Game of the Year show?
Yes, definitely be here for the Game of the Year show, yeah. After that, I don't know. Like, I'm hoping that in an ideal world, we suddenly start making a lot of money from this, and I can't quit it for a bit.
I mean, I'd love to know how you got to that, but...
I literally can't quit. Like, I need it to survive.
Okay.
But for now, it's all up in the air. But yeah, we're very excited.
We had some suggestions. Chod UK, get John Denton in. I mean, that's a great idea.
He's literally just quit.
and that's a joke. Toby Henry, I propose promotion to one, the others to the main one, whatever, and the guest presenter each week, like, have I got news for you? Or rotating main one duties with a guest presenter. Imagine that. Like, every week we're like, okay, now you are presenting. That we
that's we need a strong and steady
stable leader to take us through this time of uncertainty.
We're approaching Draxit. We need a strong and steady leadership.
Draxit? Where did Drax come from?
I don't know, it's like Brexit, but David. That's what I was going
David? Is your name David Turner?
That's it.
Okay, there's your name for the show this week. Draxit.
Fucking Draxit.
Draxit.
Okay, anyway, we've had so much feedback over the last 2 or 3 weeks with, like, in amongst, like, the Dark Souls ending, obviously E3, the Kickstarter, everything. Thank you ever so much. Every one of your messages, comments, a lot. If you want to tweet us or give us any more feedback or whatever you want, it's at Computer Game Show on Twitter, or you can email thecomputergameshow@gmail.com.
Let's get on to the news then.
I would love to read the news, David. Okay. The first one we got is so Nintendo Switch and Xbox One Minecraft cross-platform trailer hammers home.
You're all over the place now because you dropped the gag and now you're focusing on the reaction.
Adrenaline's fucking coursing through him. He's like, oh, I did
get the massive. I thought the gag worked, and then it didn't go well after that.
I laughed.
You know when you're running along and you trip up a bit, and then for the next 20 steps, you're all over the place before ultimately falling over. That's what that was. The audio version of that.
Anyway,
sorry, James.
Following on from the Fortnite debacle, the PS4 is now being left out of Minecraft crossplay. So this has been the thing this week. So the Better Together update came out for the Switch, and also I think for other platforms as well, and it's free if you already own it, so that's kind of good. And it works on like Windows 10, iPhone, iPad, and Android, as well as the Switch and Xbox One. So this is similar to how it is with like Rocket League and Fortnite and everything.
Yeah.
But so then the best thing about this was that then Nintendo put out this advert demonstrating like crossplay between Xbox and Switch, and PlayStation's obviously conspicuously absent in this, and everyone's been hammering them for it because of the fact there's no cross-platform play.
I mean, it's funny because this isn't news, is it? Like, this has always been the case with Minecraft. It's just that recently this update's come out for the Switch, and because it ties in with the Fortnite stuff, it's suddenly everyone's picked it up, and it's just another thing to.
I mean, this is like we've been moaning about this when it comes to Rocket League for God knows how long, but now that it's on games that I guess are more likely to, like with Rocket League, I think you pick a platform and you play on it. And the same with Fortnite. With Fortnite, you were picking a platform to play on, either Xbox or PlayStation, and you played on it. But now there's a portable version of it. People are going, well, I want to play it on my Switch as well. Yeah. And if they've got a PS4 and a Switch and you can't just link your accounts like that, that's why it's blown up so much. Yeah. Whereas, Rocket League, alright, it wasn't that great on the Switch. Maybe that put a lot of people off, or Rocket League players wouldn't be playing that on the Switch because you get to a certain level and the Switch ain't doing it for you. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's harder to control and all that. I mean, this is really showing Sony up now. I don't remember, like, because we've had a cross-platform problem since forever, right? This is not a new thing. It's just right now you've got two huge companies saying, let's do this, and one flat out saying no. And it's what we all want, but there's this one company out of the three that's stopping that from happening.
See, also, there was this guy who was the former head of Sony Online Entertainment, who's John Smedley, and he gave the reason why they're not allowing it in like this tweet. Like he doesn't work for Sony now, but he like tweeted why. But then the tweet's now been deleted. But he said, by the way, when I was at Sony, the stated reason internally for this was money. They didn't like someone buying something on an Xbox and it being used on a PlayStation. Simple as that. Dumb reason, but there it is.
Yeah, because obviously they take a cut of the marketplace sales, and that includes in-game purchases. So they're worried that you're buying stuff on an Xbox and getting to use it on your PlayStation. I mean, I get it. I genuinely get that from a business perspective. Like, they want to keep it, but I think it's so stupid. Like, I think it's so short-sighted. Like, if you step back and see that the fact that everyone's buying this stuff, that like. It's like it was like that tweet that came out when this Fortnite news came out, and then someone turned around and said, "You're not convincing me to stay playing this game on PlayStation. You're convincing me to get an Xbox to play it on that."
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I know, but alternative viewpoint here, Sony don't have to care, do they? Because they're so far ahead in terms of like user base that why do they care because about this? I guess they should care, because in the long run, these consoles aren't going to stay around forever, and gamers are going to have to start making choices again about which way to go, right? And if they're looking, if there's all this, like if Nintendo have another console that can deal with games that you're also playing on your next Xbox, surely there's that whole, I can have it on my portable one and my home console, my proper home console with all the flashy graphics and stuff, and it all works together. Or I can go with Sony again and be locked out of these accounts. Like, I mean, it's short-sighted in my opinion, and it's to a point where that it could. I'm not even going to say it because I don't know the effect that it would have on consumers or how aware they are of all of this. It just shines a bad light on Sony. And then when it comes, and we all know that people are fickle. I mean, you look at the 360 compared to the PS3, and then the Xbox One and the PS4, brand loyalty is still there, don't get me wrong, but there's no reason why that can't shift. And the more that Sony, stick out like this, then the next time the gamers have to make a choice, all of this stuff comes flooding back.
Yeah, it's like you forget that 10 years ago, Microsoft were really shitty about letting the Sky app on the Xbox 360 because they were like, nope, because that involves a subscription that isn't Xbox Live Gold.
Exactly, yeah.
And you sort of, because the tables have turned, you forget that stuff. And as you say, they will surely turn again.
Well, you get this, like, it's the same with Apple, like with the App Store and everything, how, you get companies that don't want to put their stuff on there because Apple want their 30% cut on whatever goes through the app and everything.
But even in this case, even Apple allowing this cross-platform play.
Because it doesn't hurt them, does it, financially at all?
Yeah, but
if you're Sony,
sure they could buy Battle Pass for iOS and they'll get 30%, whereas they're not getting it now because it's being bought on other consoles, right? So
Apple could happily say, well, you can play with people on consoles, but you can't play with Android users.
Yeah, or it costs more. Like if you buy Spotify through through iOS, it's like a tenner, or used to be a tenner, whereas normally it was previously $7.99 elsewhere because Apple added the 30% on top. Like,
kidding,
it's still like that, isn't it?
That. Like it may well still be, but
I'm pretty certain it's still like that. It's like, but I think because Apple doesn't care because they know that loads of people are still just going to go for the convenient option of, or not even know that they can get it cheaper elsewhere. But it's irrelevant anyway. But
this is going back to sort of like bullshit, or Sony didn't care in like the PS3 era, and then people were turned off there. But that was
different though, because at the beginning of the PS3 era, you've got like the beginning of like a race and everything, where there was quite big differences between the two machines. But in this case, they've already got the market sewn up, like in this generation anyway, like completely. Like there's no way that they're going to get caught now. So
no.
I see what Dave's saying. Like like in the future, maybe this can hurt them because it returns to that sort of old Sony are arrogant, sort of like thing that goes on. But at the moment, they probably just don't care. I mean,
in terms of what you're saying, Dave, about soon they have to make changes. Like obviously, James, you're about to talk in the what you've been playing section about. You've been playing Minecraft and on various platforms. This is fine now. Also, you have to do it, and I guess when it gets time to like next generation, if like people like you, James, and other families say, well, I could buy an Xbox console and know I can play it with a Nintendo console, or just buy the PlayStation and avoid it, just like you said, Dave. But all the time you've got to do is just change their mind before new consoles come out, and suddenly they're like, oh, that's fine, I can play on my PlayStation now. So like right now, we're like 2 or 3 years away. They don't have to change.
But you see, I think the thing is the stronger seller of stuff though is still going to be exclusive games over like cross-platform. Like that's the reason why people are going to buy PlayStations is not.
That's not why they bought PlayStations
stuff.
Originally, not straight from launch.
No, because everyone else had bought them.
No, they bought the PS4 from launch because it was cheaper than the Xbox One.
Exactly, yeah.
The Xbox One launch was a mess as well. Let's not forget.
And the Xbox One launch was a mess. Yeah. Okay. All right. Fine.
Okay. So the next bit is that Nintendo are now talking. Well, they're banning people from online play for using like illegal games.
Oh, for fuck's sake. So, okay, Sony wankers, Nintendo wankers, everyone get an Xbox.
No, this
is fair enough, isn't it?
No, this is... Matt, what is wrong with you? You've gone totally... Like, everything's Xbox now. It's like, whatever it is, you're always banging Xbox banter, constantly.
James?
Yeah. Anyway, so this follows on from... What?
Go
on. Okay. Oh, we're not back to the noises again, are we?
This was a pretty sensationalised story, wasn't it? I read the headline and thought, what the fuck? Then read the article and went, there's nothing to see here.
I mean, it's basically... I mean, there was the hardware exploit that came out, like a little while ago that isn't patchable. So now what they're doing is they're banning games that have been installed illegally. So initially, everyone was like, oh, this is terrible. This means you won't be able to use second-hand games. But it isn't like that because it only affects games that are copies of other games. Like if you've got a game that's been copied many times.
What it is, right? What they were saying is that physical games can be banned from your Switch. Yeah. So there's a chance of you buying a game from CEX or whatever, putting the cartridge in your Switch, and your account being banned because of that, right?
Yeah.
When you read the article, the chances of that happening are so minute that it's not even worth moaning about, because what it does, every game has a certificate, and like a unique certificate. If they find a ROM online, they can find that certificate and ban every version of that game. Right? And that's what they're doing. So if you've downloaded a ROM from the internet and put it on your hack Switch, that will get banned because of that certificate. The problem is the certificate on that ROM is the same as the cartridge that it was originally copied by. So by the system of banning every game with that certificate, that cartridge would also get a ban. Right? Mm-hmm. Makes sense. makes sense. And unfortunately, yes, there might be a chance of you buying a game second-hand, putting it in your Switch and getting your account banned, right? But the chances of that happening must be 0.000 God knows what.
Yeah,
because it's got to be, that's one unique code that they've used to rip the game from and put it on the internet. I read it and I just thought, there is literally nothing to see here. Until someone moans about that, then there's no story here at all.
What you said is correct.
Thanks, mate.
Next story is Crackdown 3. So Crackdown 3... the original Crackdown co-creator David Jones has left as creative director at Regent Games, and they were the ones that were working on Crackdown 3. And he's taken the role of director of cloud and esports strategies at Epic instead. And he's also, because it was his company he had two companies on the go at the same time. One of them was like a cloud computing company, and the other one was this game developer. And the cloud computing one has been absorbed into Epic, and Regent Games is now nothing to do with Crackdown 3. So nobody seems to be really sure what's going on now. Microsoft head Matt Booty has said that they're still doing the cloud stuff. That's still going to be part of the game, but they haven't got any details at the moment. And apparently it's just Sumo Digital now are the only developers working on it. It's,
Okay, so was he a developer then?
Well, yeah, he was the co-creator, but he was also director on the project.
Right, okay. And is there a chance that his job is now pretty much winding down anyway? Because I would suspect that if this is out in February...
Yeah, that is not quite possible.
Yeah,
it's possible, but it's a bit odd too. But then usually, isn't it so? I mean, I have no idea about game development, but I would have thought that after they finished, they still have like patch stuff and all that sort of stuff to do, and like DLC and stuff, or do they just palm that off to another studio?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't expect that the actual game director would. Well, I guess it all depends on the developer, isn't it? And their experience and their job role.
We don't know what we're talking about.
That's a good point. It is a very good point.
We don't, but it is odd that this has happened. Like, it is a bit odd.
Yeah, it's a major issue for any project in any sort of creative field. If like the co-creator and co-developer leave, that something has clearly happened for that to happen, because often like these were, they want to see the project through, they want to see the original vision, get out there into the hands of consumers. So it's clearly an issue, but clearly this game has also had a bit of a terrible development in general, so it doesn't surprise me. I guess we'll see what Sumo do, and hopefully it's a success whenever it does eventually come out in the year 2024.
Okay, next story is...
Okay.
What do you think? I'm just about to say it. What is wrong with you? You could just at least let me just, say what I need to say, Dave. Why do you have to start having a go, straight away? Can I continue?
Yep.
Okay.
Read the room, Dave.
Okay, so Microsoft is no longer planning VR support for the Xbox. So this is one of the ones that we were going to do with Matt, but it didn't work out. So apparently the focus for VR and AR is now only going to be for PC, and Xbox is just TV. They're just going to focus only on TV for Xbox. And
they're going back to TV? What?
No, the Xbox is just going to be connected to TVs rather than VR machines and stuff.
Oh, okay, cool. For a second there, I thought they were going back to the Kinect.
No, the Kinect is not returning. It's like Kinect 3, is like coming out next year, but no. So Phil Spencer has said that the VR is still too far off for consoles, and they feel that the VR market has grown more slowly than they expected, so they're not interested in getting into it. Which is a shame.
What I love,
no surprise.
I love the image of so when PSVR got announced, and obviously there'll have been loads of people at Microsoft who were like, "Fuck, we need to do that. We need to get on this. We need to do something better than this." And just someone was like, "Let's just see how this pans out."
Yeah.
And they've just
that guy has saved Microsoft a lot of money.
Yeah, they've just let Sony be the canary in the coal mine, and I don't, which isn't, I'm not having a go at PSVR. I think it was a necessary and bold first step. But I don't think it's...
Yeah, and I think the way Sony did it was the right way, arguably. Yeah. They used aging light and move technology rather than spending hundreds or millions, I guess, developing their own version of Lighthouse or their own amazing controllers Vive and Oculus. They've done it a cheap way. I think they've probably done really well out of it. But I would imagine it wasn't a ridiculously massive investment from Sony's part. They've got in a good point, actually. I think when Vive and Oculus were really blowing up, they've got their money, they're out, and I think this is totally sensible for Microsoft. I mean, you'd be crazy to put any big money right now into VR. I think we're in a holding pattern for like 5-10 years. But yeah, it makes sense.
See, especially, the other thing with Sony is that it was less of a risk for them in a sense because of, again, the huge install base. You got more to go from with that, whereas with Xbox, the install base was a lot smaller, so it's more of a risk.
There was a market for PSVR, but no one else. You know what I mean? In terms of consoles, rather than PC VR.
Yeah, everything Microsoft invests, they've got to get a good return on investment. Sony, they had the extra capital to make a risk, and actually, arguably, it's probably paid off for them. But yeah, I mean, the fact is that Xbox One X is powerful enough to do VR. Should VR suddenly kick off, but I think we'll be a generation or two away from that. So this makes total sense.
Okay, so next, PlayStation Now is going to start offering downloads this year. So it's getting offline functionality, but it's only for PS4 games. It's only going to be for PS4 games. So you can download the games and they'll work for as long as you have a PS Now subscription. But I don't know. I mean, to me, this feels like this kind of shows that this focus on streaming over proper backwards compatibility was probably not a great idea, on Sony's part.
Not at this stage. I mean, it's clearly where it's going. It's clearly if you'd have told me this, but it's the most interesting thing from E3, in my opinion, that people are talking about streaming games again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
clearly, people think that this is where the industry is going, and it's going to be a big part of gaming in the future. And clearly, Sony jumped into this market way too quickly. Yeah, I mean, every time I tried PS Now, I've not enjoyed it. But if this is the way it's going, then it's the way it's going. It's just a shame that you're right. They should have probably held back on the streaming stuff and focused on backwards compatibility, but they didn't. Here we are, and I think that this service is going to evolve into something. At least they've not completely ignored that it ever existed, so we'll see where this takes us now. Yep, okay.
Okay, people are using balloons to put porn in Mario Odyssey.
This is just one of the nastiest stories ever, and I wouldn't really give a shit if I didn't have a kid that plays Mario all the time. But I instantly text a load of people this story and said, don't let your kid play Balloon World. I haven't been on myself to see if it's on there. Reading the reports, it seems like it's kind of unverified. Not a lot of people have got screenshots of any of that shit happening, and the person from Reddit that reported it said it was someone with the same username. But the idea behind it is that with the hacked Switch, you can change your profile icon on your profile, and the problem is that will only be seen by you. But it just so happens that in Balloon World on Super Mario Odyssey, when you leave a balloon for someone to find, your profile image shows up on that balloon. And of course, if yours is a porno image, then that's going to be on the balloon. I mean, I don't... Right, and then I'm going to sound like a right prick, like right knobhead or whatever. I don't see what the joke is. I just think I think it's absolutely fucked up.
It's what
walking up to a kid in a street and showing them porn.
Yeah.
Well, it's
an offence anyway. In the UK, it's an offence to do this.
Yeah.
Well, good. I hope they fucking find him and put him in. I know this sounds ridiculous. I'm sorry. I don't want to sound all like Daily Mail or whatever, but I hope they fucking find him and he gets done for it. I hope he finds it and he gets done with it. Because if I knew that Harry had seen something like that playing on the Nintendo Switch, I'd be fucking furious, genuinely furious.
Because what gets me
really
is, all right, if you're a hacker and you enjoy doing this stuff, you just want to prove that you can do it. You can do that without putting fucking pornography in a children's game or a game that children might play. That's just, it's not fucking necessary. You could put anything in there, make it just a funny joke that isn't going to upset anyone. That's still proving that you did something interesting and, that shouldn't be possible. Have
Nintendo commented on this yet?
No.
I mean, they won't even want to acknowledge it, will they? You know what they're like.
Well, they fucking should. I mean, if if it turns out that this has actually happened, then I hope the profile pictures are turned off on all balloons.
I'm sure they'll fix it, but I can't imagine them how would they? Because there's no way Nintendo would put out a statement that would acknowledge the term pornography. Do you know what I mean?
No way.
They'll say inappropriate images or something like that. But even that will draw attention to it.
Exactly.
And I don't think they want to.
I think they would just fix it and say
special
nothing.
direct about it.
Just spend 25 minutes on YouPorn. No, if it is true, I don't know how legitimate it is. I've not seen it in the game. I've not even seen a credible screenshot from it. Everything's been taken from Reddit, and you know what that place is like. If it is true, then they need to turn off the profile images in Balloon World immediately. All right, they don't need to announce it. You've got to be online to play Balloon World, so you would have had to have updated your game to play it. So it can't be that difficult to do. So I hope that if it is true, it could all be bollocks. If it is true, then that they fix that immediately. And I'm sure they will. Nintendo are not thick. They know that the moment some parent finds one in a game, they will be sued a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah.
Hopefully that gets sorted. But yeah, that really pissed me off. Because I don't get the joke. Like, what's the joke there? Haha, I'm sending pornography to children. Whatever. It fucked me off. That did. It fucked me off big time. And not only that, when certain parents read that game, they're going to be taking switches off their kids everywhere. You know what I mean? And that's sad as well, isn't it? Well, you're not playing that because it's got porn on it. Like, they don't know the story. They're not into gaming. They don't look this stuff up. They read an article that they've been sent that there's porn in this Mario game, and they'll be taking it off their kids. It's just, it's really, really got me riled up. That I think it's maybe because I've been tired. I've been so tired the past couple of weeks, and I read that, and it just really got on my nose. Felt like going onto the Daily Mail and writing comments. God.
That's it. That's all we got.
Good. Sorry, I was expecting another news story and took a swig of water.
Yeah, there is no news story.
It's boring. I don't want to go over that one. I'm sick of reading. It's
right. Okay, what was it? Just out of interest.
It's just really boring. It was about people upset about Mario Tennis Aces, but it's fine.
Oh yeah, it's a bit of a weird story, isn't it? Right. Okay. Should we do what we've been playing then? Yeah. I mean, I kind of want to start. Should I just start?
Yeah, go for it.
Start.
Should I start with Detroit?
Yeah, go on.
I have played through Detroit.
Sound thrilled, James.
From start to end.
How long did it take you?
It took me about a week, but I was playing in like hour and a half. Since the problem is the World Cup's been on, isn't it? So I've been distracted with that. I haven't really been gaming like an insane amount. But I've stuck it on when I have, like when I could, and yeah, it's shit. it's really. I
told you it's not that great. It's you know.
I really didn't click with it at all. And I think everything James has said has pretty much been spot on. There's a lot of strange filler in there, without it really coming together. There's like loads of scenes where you're like, it's really hard to sort of nail down where it goes wrong. I think the most important thing is that he spread it across 3 stories, and not all of the stories are like. I think the Kara Alice story is something that you could have made a game out of. Like, you haven't played it, James, but The Last of Us, the story between Joel and Ellie, is that right? Their story felt like a true adventure from start to finish. And because you're with those 2 characters throughout the length of that game, you see everything about their relationship, and that starts to grow on you. And each of those characters then becomes very important. Every action that they do, we've spoken about it on the show before, the way that game ends, and I'm not going to tell you the ending, but the way that game ends is not on some big cliffhanger or explosion or anything like that. It's a certain look from one of the characters but because you've been with these characters and you know their relationship for so long, it's so important and you really connect to that. In this, by the time that I got to the end between Kara, so Kara's an android looking after, she's escaped an abusive parent with his daughter, and she's trying to protect her and find her a place of safety, basically, so they can live together and she can raise her, like the android can raise her type thing. The problem is, by the time we got to the conclusion of that story, I didn't feel anywhere near connected to either character to give a shit about what was going to happen. There's just weird. There's a twist in the game that makes literally no sense. You know, the twist in Heavy Rain. You know, people were picking out plot holes on this. With this, it's just like, no, this isn't even a twist. This is just saying this happened now. Right? Yeah, did it? Yeah. Okay. Right. What?
If it's the twist I think you're talking about, also I still think that it also like kind of negates a lot of earlier what's happened in the game as well, and like
it means absolutely nothing. It wipes out a whole little fucking storyline. Then you've got this weird. I like the biggest problem with Detroit Become Human is that it didn't convince me that these androids were anything other than robots. It just didn't convince me. There was nothing there. Like by the end of it, I was just there's a pivotal point of the game where you are asked to make a decision whether to treat a android that you've only just met, so you've got no previous with them. You've only just met. You either treat them as the android that humans think that they are, or you treat them as a new form of life, intelligent life, right? And you're done. It's all done through, you know, do you kill this one or not, right? I killed it. I looked at your playthrough, James. You killed it, and it just made me go, well, that's a failure, then, isn't it? That's a failure because at no point did I think, oh no, I'm actually killing a real life here. I just thought, as a robot, I'm going to kill it.
The biggest problem with that is the fact that they come back anyway. So then you just think, well, it doesn't matter, does it?
You know, that one didn't, but but it
still could have done. You know, it's still, you know.
Where the game almost works is where you're put into situations where you are under time pressure to try and conceal stuff, right? That's what Cage games have always done really well. When you're under pressure, when something's happening and you've got to do something in the time, and you've got to make split-second decisions, right? Well, I've got to look for this, I've got to look for that. Quick, I've got to tidy that away. What should I do? Do I hide in there? Do I go up here? That's when that game... You're sitting at the edge of your seat and going, oh shit, yeah, this is really good. This game does it nowhere near enough. And people look back on Heavy Rain and they slate it, right? But they forget that when Heavy Rain came out, games like this weren't really a thing. This was like a huge step forward. And don't get me wrong, it's been bettered. It's been bettered. James, it's hard for you to comment on that because you played it so late on in its life.
I know, but you see, I've been thinking about this a lot today because I just finished Fahrenheit last night, and it's the thing about this is that there's gameplay mechanics and stuff like that it's true have not been done, but older games have done like narrative like far better than like any of Cage's games. Like,
how do you mean? Like, what do you mean?
What do you mean? Well, there's Grim Fandango. Grim Fandango, that was before this.
So Grim Fandango was a point-and-click game. How much of that, because I never played that game, how much of that was branching storylines, characters and die, and the story still continues?
It wasn't really branching storylines, but it was still a more engaging like narrative.
But that's... I do not doubt that there was been better narrative-driven games before Heavy Rain and before Fahrenheit, right? I'm not going to argue that point. I think you're right. Obviously, you're right. Okay? What I'm saying is that what Fahrenheit and what Heavy Rain in particular brought to the party was the game doesn't end when your character dies. It continues. Now, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors involved with that. There's a lot of forced decisions and, hey, either way you would have survived, all that sort of shit. But the idea behind Heavy Rain is that there was these branching storylines. And in fact, actually, in Detroit, it's pretty incredible. Like, as I was playing it, I was watching your playthrough, your streams. It's pretty incredible how different our games ended up. Like, pretty incredible. There's huge parts of that game that you never saw that I did.
I don't dispute any of that. That's absolutely true. But it's still, even if there's loads and loads of options for things going in different directions, it's still not satisfying, though. So just because you can do something doesn't mean you necessarily should.
No,
if it doesn't work.
No, I agree to that. But that's an opinion rather than a fact, right? I like the fact that I can play a game and then ask you what happened in yours. Here's the problem. Since Heavy Rain, games have come out and done it better. Do you know what I mean? A lot of games have come out and done it better, right? David Cage hasn't found a way to progress that any further than he did with Heavy Rain. So Beyond Two Souls was a pile of shit. It had branching storylines, fine, but the story was just not up to snuff with what was on the market at the time. You'd had Walking Dead by then, and Telltale was starting to bring out these style of games. Detroit, I mean, it feels like maybe even a step back from Beyond. It just feels like a story that I don't give a shit about. And, the branching storylines is impressive, but I'm not invested in the story. Now, we've got games that have this branching storyline stuff that also have characters that you can fall in love with and stories that are really interesting and really enjoyable to play through. And he hasn't taken that step forward. Now his games that he essentially invented to some.
See, I'm still not sure about that, because you've got like RPGs that did like similar things. Like, I mean, Knights of the Old Republic was like that.
No way was it to the level of what Heavy Rain did. No way.
Because it still had branching storylines. I mean, absolutely, like BioWare games had like branching storylines before this.
They did, but to the level that Heavy Rain did, James, where every scene could end up in a different scenario.
Okay. Maybe not with Heavy Rain, but with stuff like Fahrenheit, absolutely. Like, they came before Fahrenheit. When did Heavy Rain come out? What was the year?
It's like 2008, I think.
Let's have a look.
It was a bit later than that, because I had a PS3 by then. And I only got...
It was 2010. Yeah. So it came out in 2010. So then, when did Mass Effect come out?
2007, the first one.
Okay. So Mass Effect did, like, branching storylines and all that kind of stuff.
But you got to remember that the stuff in Mass Effect was so largely weighted towards the end of the game, whereas Heavy Rain is throughout the whole fucking thing. There's so much that changes during that game, and alright, it might just be dialogue choices, but when Heavy Rain came out, look, the fact is, when Heavy Rain came out, it was a lot more unique than it was when Beyond Two Souls came out, right? Detroit hasn't progressed it any further. It hasn't.
No, I agree with you there. I mean, because I was just thinking about the Telltale games when they came out. I mean, they were like, let's have a look. I mean, like, yeah, okay. Because the Walking Dead, that came out like a year, two after Heavy Rain.
After Heavy Rain, yeah. And it did that game better. And you look at Until Dawn, that did that type of game better. I mean, it did it in a different way because it didn't want to be serious. The whole idea is that it's a total joke, like throughout the whole thing. And then you've got Beyond, and you're going, whoa, mate, you've been outdone now, and this is not up to scratch anymore. And then you've got Detroit, and you're like, mate, seriously, what are you doing? This is not up to scratch anymore. Like, I did not enjoy that game at all.
This is what I felt after Fahrenheit, because, I mean, as I said, I finished it the other day, and I was really glad that it was over, because it's much, much worse than I remembered it being. Like, it's really bad. It's a really terrible game, actually, I think. Even that first, the first bit that everyone says that's really good, that's really bad if you go back to it. But the thing about it is that this is what after playing all of these games now in like quite a short period of time, what you come to realise with this is that that's the problem with Cage's games, though, is that they haven't really evolved like at all since Fahrenheit, even. Like,
I'd say mechanically, they took a big step forward with Heavy Rain, and they've not evolved since then.
No, but I'd agree with that. They still follow the same like mechanisms. Like, they still use the same like gameplay like sort of methods and everything. They still use the same kind of like framing. Just the same sort of framing of scenes and everything. But what's really depressing about it is the fact that if you think about the Telltale games that came out, like the Walking Dead, for example, the first one, that also had like the bad gameplay stuff in it. But then over time with Telltale games, they've like stripped all that stuff out because they knew it was really bad. Whereas Cage has never done that. He's always just doubled down on it, on all the sort of terrible mechanics that they use and everything, and it's just that's the problem with this stuff, is it never has improved, really. I mean, Heavy Rain was good. I think it was not a terrible game. I quite enjoyed playing it because of the fact that the pacing was fine, and it was a reasonably interesting story, even though it was really funny in places. the problem with Detroit is the pacing in that game was appalling as well. Didn't you find that? Like, it was just really... It was all over the place, like, in terms of pacing.
Yeah, it was. I mean, James, when you're talking about the gameplay, how you actually play the game, I think that is totally not important. Like, it's not. It's a perfectly serviceable way to play a game.
No, it gets in the way of the game, though, David. Seriously, I just finished Fahrenheit, and it was awful.
Yeah, but you're looking back at it in 2018.
It doesn't matter. I can go back and I can play Knights of the Old Republic, and it's still a fun game to play. I can go back and play Half-Life 2. It's still a fun game to play. If I go back and play Fahrenheit, it's not fun. It's awful because of the gameplay controls, because of the way it works.
Okay, but what I'm saying is that when it comes to Detroit, a game that came out this year, it was perfectly fine to play. It was perfectly fine to play.
But those things that they still use, those like go over here to pick up this bag, take the bag over to the thing, and then you have to do like a button combination. It destroys the pacing of it, and it's still awful.
I agree with that, but that's got nothing to do with the controls. That's got to do with A, as you say, the pacing, and B, the fact that he's just focusing on the wrong things. He's focusing on the wrong things. The thing is, the story, flat out, if you've got a narrative-driven game, if the story doesn't grab you, then you've got nothing. I mean, it looks pretty. That was nice. It had a couple of scenes in it that were tense. That was about it. And yeah, I mean, I went in thinking I'm going to give this every chance that I possibly can. And now I've come out saying next time Cage releases a game, I'm not going to be as interested in it.
I mean, that's exactly how I felt, because I really did want to go into it with like an open mind to a degree, to see what it would be like. But after finishing all of these games, over this time, I've just really come to the conclusion that Quantic Dream's games are basically Channel 5 films with good technology. Like they're like the quality of the stories is so bad, like in all of them, and it's just the fact that when Fahrenheit came out, it looked pretty good. It was a pretty good looking game when it came out. Also, Heavy Rain, that was impressive when it first came out. Kind of the same for Beyond, and now Detroit. They look so good, but then it's the core experience of it is just not. They're not that fun and not that interesting to play.
Okay, all right. So that was Detroit.
Dave, I mean, I haven't played Beyond. I haven't played Beyond, and I haven't played Detroit yet. I loved Heavy Rain.
Don't play Beyond.
Do you think I should bother?
I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but I mean, if you're interested, then yeah, why not? Why not? I mean, I wouldn't bother with Beyond because Beyond felt like a quick, we need to get something out, use the tech that we had for Heavy Rain and get something out quick. Because remember, when it was announced, it come out of nowhere and it was kind of like, whoa, this is suddenly like Heavy Rain hadn't been out for that long. 3 years maybe it was quite a long time. But at the time I remember thinking, fucking hell, there's a David Cage game coming out. With Detroit, I don't know, man. I'd give it a go, but I just could not get into the story at all. Couldn't get into it at all. Right, okay, we done with that?
Mm-hmm.
I'll rattle through a few. I played Killing Floor 2 last night, free to play.
Oh, yeah.
Oh dear, that's not a very good game.
Because this was on PS Plus, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah. And when it came on PS Plus, we had 2 pretty fun evenings on it, and then never went back. But I mean,
that menu music, though, Sean.
Yeah.
James, have you heard the menu music?
No.
Here we go. Right, I've got it. Imagine that on loop for just honestly, I instantly don't like this game, and then you go into it and it's like and then the like clown music and stuff, but heavy metal. I'm going, mate, I can't play this anymore. So yeah, won't be going back to that. I finally 100%ed Yaku's Island. My God,
there it is again.
Yeah, that is some game. If you've not played it, I think there's 2 games that you might have missed during the E3 madness, everybody. The first, Yaku's Island Express, buy it. It's brilliant on whatever console you got.
How much is it on Switch?
It was £15, I think. I mean, it's totally 100% worth it. I think I've played it for 20 hours, and that's how I 100%ed it. I mean, you'll struggle. A lot of people struggle with the patience to get every single Wickerling, but I mean, because Harry was so into it, we smashed it. We got all excited as well because we had one more to get, and we were trying to find it, and then he had to go to bed. And while he was in bed, I found it, but I didn't collect it. I waited for him to wake up, and I was like, should we go and have a look and see if we can get this last one? And then boom, yeah, there it was. And then we watched like the ultimate ending, the 100% ending together. That was pretty nice moment. Onrush is the other one that you might have met. I've missed. Last time we spoke about this, we'd only played this for a couple of days, Matt, pre-launch, right?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I mean, I think I'm about 30 to 40 hours into it now, and it's still not boring. I still love every second of it. James, you've played it as well now, right?
Yeah, I have played it, but not as much as you. But yeah, it is very good.
It's just... it's gutting to see it do as badly as it is. I mean, it literally sold thousands in the UK the launch weekend, and it's horrible. But it's now down to £30 in most places. There really is no excuse not to jump on board, unless you don't like the look of it, I guess. But it's so unique, so much fun, and I'm still playing it every night, pretty much every night. I'm sticking it on for a few rounds because. That game, again, Sean, I think you'd be really into it as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know.
I think it's just a hard sell, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, it's just a hard sell. I mean, I've been saying if they need to have a free weekend.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of people will give it a go, and I know a lot of people that after that free weekend they will want to go and buy it because it's just superb.
I mean, I think we said this.
Game.
Last time it came up, they have just fucked the marketing, haven't they? Like, this game should not have depended on us all being at Rezzed and you telling me to play it for me to know that it exists. Like, I haven't heard of it outside of, like, you guys. Which is appalling, really. Like,
yeah.
I mean, if it was shit, you'd understand, what kills me as well. Good. Like,
I was playing a game the other day and my team was shit. And I'm going, what the fuck is going on? We lost like 3 games in a row, and I'm getting frustrated, like really frustrated with my teammates. And then I looked at the list, and it's all like Gary, Clive, and I'm going, I haven't got. They had a full team of people, and it was just me and a team of bots. And I'm going, fuck, that's not a good sign. That's not a good sign at this stage. They need to work out a way to get people to play this game. And I think the only way of doing it is saying, boom, free weekend, everyone can download it, play it for a weekend.
Well, there's already been price drops, hasn't there, as well?
Like huge price drops, yeah. It's £35 a game at the moment, £30 most other places. It's not very nice to see, but hopefully enough people, like it's like a Rainbow Six, that people start picking up on it. Just so good. It's so good. Right, so played that. Milanoir, is that how you pronounce it, Sean? Because you said you've heard this game.
Yeah.
So this is a sort of retro-looking. The only way to really describe it, it's like a Tarantino game, and not in a hey, look how violent it is. It's just it's got that style to it. You know, characters introduced by I don't know if Tarantino has specifically done this, but characters introduced by a cutscene pausing and their name appearing next to them with a like to introduce the characters and stuff. The language is just ridiculously grotesque throughout. Everyone's swearing for literally no reason and calling each other very naughty names. I really like the style. It's like a shooter, but you're controlling a crosshair, and you can use various different objects and stuff. It seems very linear, story-driven game, but with lots of different types of shooting. But I'm playing it on the Nintendo Switch, and I'm finding it almost impossible to control. Because this game came out on the PC, and I got stuck on a boss, and I'm thinking, what am I doing wrong here? Like, I do not understand what I'm doing wrong. And then I I went onto YouTube and looked at a playthrough, and they're playing it on the PC, and I'm saying, no, what I'm doing wrong is not being able to control it, because what it is that there's a crosshair on screen, which is obviously your mouse if you're playing it on PC, and you can just pick people off. by clicking and moving this crosshair about. You're using the stick to control the crosshair on this. Now, it's got some auto-snap stuff, but it just doesn't work well enough. It doesn't work well enough. Like, you've still got to get the crosshair close enough for it to lock on, then sometimes it will just, like, lock off, and you're like, what the fuck's going on now? Now I'm missing, now I'm dead. Brilliant. The controls mapped out on might work on a pad, but holding the console and trying to work all 4 shoulder buttons is just almost impossible. Like in handheld mode, it's a fucking nightmare. Yeah. I was getting hand cramp so quickly that I don't think I can continue playing it, because it's killing me, because I really liked its style. I really liked how like fucking brash it is, and I like the visual art style. I like the story so far, but it feels like it's so hard to control that I'm not going to be able to do that. And the biggest shame is that games like this have been sorted on consoles before. I mean, Hotline Miami is a classic case of controlling a crosshair using a DualShock or using the Vita. You know what I mean? The fucking game worked on the Vita.
Yeah, it worked alright as well.
This doesn't translate as well onto the Nintendo Switch, and it's such a shame, because I really want to plough through it, but I don't think I'm going to have the ability to, or the dexterity in my hands to do it.
You don't think it's they could patch somehow to make it easier?
Yes, I do actually. I think the crosshair should exist on screen, but literally just snap to the nearest enemy. You know, much like it does on... well, it's a little bit different on Hotline Miami, but if you're just like flicking between enemies on the screen, that works a lot better. That would work a hell of a lot better. Instead, you are trying to guide a crosshair close to an enemy. Don't work, in my opinion. It's a shame.
Yeah, that was tough.
It's a damn shame. I think.
So have you played it with in Pro Controller as well as like?
No, I've not tried it on a Pro Controller yet.
I'd be interested to see if that feels different at all.
Yeah, I might give that a go.
Does anyone?
I suspect not.
Bit of a detour. Where are we on Pro Controllers? I still haven't got one, and I've not missed it. Am I missing out?
There's such
a
good controller.
Yeah, it's the best. Do you play PC games, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Well, the Pro Controller works on PC.
I've already got 360 controller for that, though.
I know, I get that, but I wish I could play. Use the Pro Controller on pretty much everything.
Okay.
It's easily the best pad out there. The only thing that is lacking is the analog triggers. But I mean, that hasn't really bothered me that much. I love it. I think
every time I pick it up, I think,
controller.
I forgot how good this controller feels.
Yeah,
it's just it's well worth the money. I love it.
Yeah, we still use it all the time. Like, and it's beautiful for Yakuza Island, isn't it, James? Like that snappy trigger for the flippers is just perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I was never a fan ever of using like the Joy-Con in that plastic thing anyway. I'll typically just use one in each hand, but now I'm not sure if I'm playing on TV, I'm not sure how I can not play with a Pro Controller. It's just so good.
Yeah, it's a lovely pad, and the battery life's insane on it. It just lasts forever. Yeah, it's well good. And that's it. That's my list. Let's move on to Sean. Let's go straight for you, Sean.
I've been playing the full game of Mario Tennis Aces.
Really?
Yeah. Enjoying it, man. The actual game, anyway. The campaign, I mean, I always knew it could go either way. Like, I wasn't buying it on, assuming that the campaign was going to be brilliant. Like they have tried. Like, it isn't just here is a series of tennis matches with people. Like, there's sort of puzzle-ish bits, like hitting specific targets, or like there's bosses that behave in weird ways, and you've got to like hit certain bits and knock bits out, and then hit, and do certain moves at certain times and stuff. It's pretty good. The only thing is, like, they've put a story in, and it's just loads of bollocks text that you just mash in the A button, and you can never quite skip it fast enough.
What's the story?
It's just like Mario is on an island where everyone's obsessed with tennis, and then Wario and Waluigi find an evil racket, and then Luigi grabs it and unleashes an evil spirit, and then they have to collect 4 gems. I'm not making this up. This is actually the story. In order to defeat the evil racket. But like, some of it's really hard, which is fine. But it's, for one thing, it's clearly a replacement for the fact there's not many levels in it. There's 4 worlds in the game. I'm already at the end of the 3rd one. There's maybe like 3 essential stages to each world, and then a couple of optional ones.
Right.
Which, and it's just even more embarrassing because you're wandering around this world map, and every time you're wandering between the level, Mario's just fucking going for ages just up this really long path, and you're like, I'm sure there was meant to be more places to stop on this map. This is bad. But, what is there is inventive enough. But, yeah, and when, some of the stages are hard, but there's no... if you're a bit of a way into a challenge and you fuck up really early on, you're like, well, I'm not going to be able to do this. There's no quick restart option. You've got to stop, quit out, get some patronising dialogue from Toad where he's like, oh, have you tried hitting the ball back at the other person? And you fucking... And you have to and then start the level again, and then it does the dialogue again, which you can skip it the second time by pressing the start button, but then it loads the level again, and then it's right, 3, 2, 1, go, and it's no, why isn't there just a start button, restart, right, brilliant, have another go? It's fucking tedious.
Yeah, that's the thing that would kill me. That needs a quick restart, especially if for a portable game.
Exactly, and it's just one of those things. It's 2018. It's so avoidable. There's just no excuse for it. So that's a shame, but yeah, just doing online matches. I'm still kind of shit at it, but when you are evenly matched, it is fucking beautiful. I know we skipped over it, but people have been sulking that you can't play what people who like tennis would consider a full match of tennis. It hasn't bothered me. People are sulking, saying, "Oh yeah, but you don't get the proper long game of properly analysing your opponent, and there's not as much of the sort of back and forth." I feel like there's plenty of that.
So you can't play sets. Is that the issue?
I think basically you only play to 2 sets instead of 3 or something. Is that?
No, this was going to be in the news story that I decided to remove because it was boring.
Yeah, sorry,
but it's the whole. It's the whole thing where you can't play a traditional game of tennis in this because you can't play sets, and it's always only best of 3 is the thing.
Also, I've watched Wimbledon every year, and there's never been a dinosaur in it.
More's the pity.
What the fuck is this shit?
Yeah, it hasn't bothered me at all. It would be cool if it's something they could enable for proper tournament play at some point. But just in terms, just hopping in and out of online matches, I find it ideal. The game length is about right, I think.
I think
what's the lag like?
Lag's been fine, to be fair. They seem to have fixed that. Touch wood.
That is essential.
Yeah. And you said some of the characters I was sulking about last time we discussed it. I don't know if they've been nerfed or if I just know how to deal with them now, but that's not really been a problem either. So yeah, properly enjoying it. The other game I've been playing is The Division 1.
He's loving it. He loves a bit the big deal.
Not a bad game, that.
Are you playing the vanilla version, or you got anything with the DLC?
I haven't got the DLC because I was advised that you really don't need it. It's not like Destiny where you just instantly shut out of loads of things if you haven't got the latest expansion. The DLC stuff is really optional. So obviously Division 2 got shown at E3, actually looked pretty good, and there was a lot of chatter did you know that the first one actually got improved a lot, and you can buy it for £6 in your local CEX. So a few of us have done it, and playing it on your own is a bit of a chore, I think. It is take away the online stuff, and it is just a competent cover-based shooter.
Definitely, yeah.
But yeah, play it with mates. There's something there, not just every game's better in co-op, but just the whole you start thinking more about the layout, of each sort of area you're trying to work through, and it's right, you fucking get up that ladder, you take that high point, snipe him, do this, I'll run around here, set up a turret here, do this, do that. It gets quite involved and quite good fun because
you can. It's all everyone's utilising whatever skills they've got equipped. And all that kind of thing.
That's important as well. There seems to be that popular belief as well that they have improved it, but the base game when it came out was still fucking good. I
really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I played through the whole thing, and at no point was I saying this is a bad game.
Yeah,
I think they dealt with the end game stuff better. I
wasn't amazed by the beta. I don't really know what they've changed though. I just know I didn't enjoy it then, and I am quite enjoying it now. £6. Fucking hell.
I know, this is why we ended up playing it with my friends. We played it for about 6-8 months or whatever, every Friday or whatever, because we got a lot out of it. It was good.
Yeah, and it does, I mentioned Destiny. It does make me think more about, I'm a massive apologist for Destiny and Destiny 2. And like, I love it enough that I will always buy the new shit when it comes out. So the whole like locking people out of, stuff just because they haven't bought the latest thing, while acknowledging that it is bullshit, it doesn't really bother me. But then you look at something like The Division, and it's like, to be fair, the way they've approached it means that I've been able to spend £6 on it, and I am enjoying it. And I might actually, and it's got me into the game. Whereas,
yeah, but you could do that with Destiny 1 and 2.
If you were just playing, if you bought
the vanilla version of Destiny 1 and 2, you could play through up until level cap with your mates, and it wouldn't be a problem. It's only the later, like the end game stuff that
I suppose,
totally
with Destiny, because I'm so into it, I'm always at the end game stuff, so I see what people would be missing. But then, as you say, I suppose if they were just playing it for the first time, that's not really a problem.
Yeah, I mean, James bought Destiny 1 and played through the story on your own, right?
I did, yeah.
Did you? That is mental.
I didn't enjoy it very much, so
I thought you said you did enjoy it.
It was all right. It wasn't that great, though. It was more fun when we played it online.
Yeah,
I love the the loot box guy. Like, I'm always fascinated. Like, I hate loot boxes, but I'm always fascinated by the little sort. The way they're presented, and there's always got to be like a little ritual to it. To sort of make it a bit more exciting, and the way like you sort like, right, I want to buy a loot box, and it's like, bah! And the guy like fucking gets a box out the back and goes boom, slams it on the table, and it's like doof, 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 like 3 little compartments opening up with stuff in it, and it's just I just love how I just find that fascinating. That's this own little art form of how you make opening stupid cosmetic items like seem really important and cool, and I think they totally nail it.
Yeah, in Onrush, right, it's a little vehicle, like little box with wheels and a little face on it, and then you hold down A and it starts screaming, and a massive truck just like drives straight through it. It explodes and your items like appear.
Is that real?
Yes, that's what happens in Onrush. There's that, and then of course like the FIFA one where you open a pack and it shows you your players, and then like the player walks out from behind.
Because that's it, isn't it? Like, I know that's the thing. I've heard this from like Chris and Andy. Though, it's like, when you're opening packs, you want a fucking walkout. That's the thing.
It's so stupid. Yeah. But on Rush it still makes me laugh because it's just this little thing and it just goes explodes straight through it. Like Harry's almost in tears next to me. He's like, why is that little car crying? It's just going to blow up. That's why.
Like it's quite funny playing it. There's been this whole thing about Ubisoft recently about how they make these games with political themes in them, but then just don't want to talk about it. Like, and it's like, Division 1 is like, oh no, there's nothing political about Division 1. It's only a game about a virus spreading by the handling of money on Black Friday. There's
no political
and it is, like playing it. It's like, this is like a total like NRA survivalist fucking wet dream. Like, but it's good. It's fun. It's all right. £6. English pounds.
They said about they said Division 2 also isn't political.
Yeah,
and about how Washington and whatever.
Yeah, it's only set in Washington. Talks about having the corrupt government that needs overthrowing. Yeah.
The sequel is great though. I mean, I watched everything I could on that, and there's interesting thing where you like choose a faction. And once you finish the game, and that's the end game, and that looks really good.
Cool.
I mean, I like the first one. The way I fell off it is, I think we all got it in the same week, but I suddenly had some really busy stuff with work, and I stopped playing it. And then when I came back, I was like 5 levels behind you, and it was really impossible to get to play a game together. And I just fell off it really quick. I felt like that they did that much worse than Destiny ever did. But I'm definitely psyched for the sequel. Definitely to see what it's like. I'll be well involved, and I'm really interested to get involved in that again. Yeah, for sure.
I just imagine Ubisoft going, no, number 2 definitely isn't political, but Ubisoft, you've got a button in the game that makes your character shout, "We're making America great again." I mean, how could you? Oh, just ignore that. Don't worry. That's fine. That is fine. That one. Right, okay, you got anything else on your
list? That's me.
Okay, let's go to James Farley.
Okay, well, I've already spoken about Fahrenheit, and I don't want to talk about it again because it was
Why bring it up?
Terrible. Oh, just, for completeness.
For completeness. All right.
Fahrenheit, so is it the worst Cage game? Is it better than Beyond?
It's not the worst Cage game. That obviously goes to Beyond Two Souls.
Well, I mean,
that's one of the
played
worst
a lot
games
now,
ever made.
so give us a ranking.
See, I think Heavy Rain's probably the best. Probably after that, See, it's a toss up between Fahrenheit and Detroit, to be honest, for the second one. That's quite difficult.
I know I've joked about this before, James. Have you played the Nomad Soul?
I haven't. I'm considering it though.
We should find a way for you to stream it
because it'll be the last one, and then I've done all of Quantic Games. But
that will have aged so fucking badly. Like it's got ideas that are like on paper are like fucking hell. I can't believe this was made in like '97 or whatever. But that's not good.
See, it came out on Dreamcast.
It did.
So I'm just wondering if there's some way I could do it on that because I've got a Dreamcast.
PC's probably your best bet. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love to see you stream on Dreamcast.
Can you just go over James's house and give him the full setup? Because I want to see James dressed as David Cage in a green screen of like, I don't know, just outside Quantic Dreams' office.
How would you dress like David Cage? Just wear like a shirt and jeans. That's just
wear a shirt, jeans, and shave his head and put some glasses on
and speak an accent.
Do a horrifically offensive accent.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Okay.
But yeah,
Shame.
it's I don't know. I mean, maybe I don't know. I could maybe play it on like PC somehow because I can like dual boot my Mac or something like that. It's probably.
We don't need to tweet us.
I mean,
we will not care.
If it comes to it, I will bring my laptop to your house, James. We'll do this.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious because it's the only one I haven't played, and it's got I don't know.
David Bowie.
The stuff you showed me was quite funny, so I don't know. I'm quite curious about it.
Okay.
But yes, there's that. So anyway, the other thing I played is I played Minecraft. So I've been playing the Better Together version, and I mean I've been really pleased with this because it does work amazingly well. At least for me, I know other people have had problems with it, but I had to set up like a free Microsoft account for Rachel so that then she could play it using her account on the Switch. So the best thing about it for me so far is that you see we started playing the game together about a few years ago when it came out on Xbox. And we were making stuff together then, but it was more kind of like she couldn't really... I was like making the stuff and she was kind of telling me what to do and stuff. But then we eventually got the Switch version and that's the one that she went into and then she's really got heavily into the Switch version and played it all the time. But she always wanted to go back to the first one that we'd ever created because we'd done like quite a lot of like buildings and stuff. And then with this you can, because you can like... you can just like load something up on the Xbox and then she could just join my game. And we just spent a long time, like over the weekend, we spent a lot of time just like building together, and like sitting there in the same room. I was sitting on the Xbox, and she's sitting next to me on the Switch. And like every night now, before she goes to bed, she wants to just play and build stuff together. And like we, like building, like it's all she just wants to build stuff like, oh, it's a swimming pool, oh, it's like whatever. But it's just really fun, and it works so well. It's I really would recommend it because I can't really think how else this would work unless you were doing it like with PC or whatever, and we haven't got that, so it's that's good. But it's great.
So it's all done with Xbox Live accounts, and you add each other as friends, and then invite each other from that.
Yeah, I just had to set her up with a gamer tag, which is free, and then that was it. And then I just had to invite her. She like on the Switch, she just loads up the game and then sees that I'm online, and then can just join whatever I'm doing. And then we just start building.
It's crazy. And it's stuff like saved indefinitely. Like, do you have your own like shared server or however? How does it work?
No, it'll run off the person who's the host. So in this case, it's like running the save game that's on my Xbox, and then she's just like connecting into that one. Like it doesn't download on her Switch. It's just it runs on mine, which is fine. Cool. But yeah, it's good. It's definitely worth a go. The other game I played is Hollow Knight. I started playing that because it was cheap, and I've heard that it's good, and I wanted another sort of Metroidvania style game, and I've heard that this is good, and it's very, very polished. I've only just really started playing it, but it's also, I don't know, I'm finding it very depressing to look at, but in a good way, if that makes any sense at all. But and also like have you played this, Sean? Because it's the kind of game I'd imagine you have.
No, I haven't actually. I've got it. Just haven't actually played it yet.
Okay. Because it's in the beginning I found the traversal a bit annoying because the whole point with this game is exploring the maps, and usually it's sort of like map as you're going, like with most games, but with this it doesn't do that. So I was like exploring around and I was like looking at the map and it's like, well, the map's not changing, I don't know where I've been, and it turns out you have to like pick up like find a map, then you have to like get like a quill so that you can draw like where you've been and everything. But I'm starting to get into the rhythm of it now, and I've heard that it's quite tough as well, so I'm looking forward to getting sort of deeper into it. But the last game that I played is something I want some advice about, which is Dark Souls 2. I started playing this the other day because I really felt like I wanted to go back to a Souls game because I've not played one since I finished Dark Souls ages ago. And I was kind of inspired by Matt finishing, Dark Souls, and I just thought, I should go back. I really want to play this, and I got it such a long time ago. But the trouble is I'm really struggling to get back into it, mostly because I don't know what to do. And there seems to be so many options at the start of the game of where to go and everything. My health is already terrible. I've only just been playing it hardly at all. And you see, before when I played Dark Souls, I had David kind of guiding me and stuff, but now I just don't know what to do. Can you give me some advice, Sean? I don't know what to do.
So, the Forest of Fallen Giants is supposed to be the first bit you're supposed to do. Was that where you've gone, or have you gone elsewhere?
I think I went elsewhere, because I went down, underground, and I found a shield. And then it's I went through this waterways that are underground, and then I got to this place where there's all these massive
the Tower of Hade. Yeah, don't go there yet. Go back. Go back to the.
Gosh, this is not a series. What are we doing? This is Dark Souls 2. Come on.
You need to go to the Forest of Fallen Giants. I forget exactly where you go from Majula to get there, but that's where you need to be. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll try that next.
So why don't you just look up a guide like you did for Dark Souls?
Let's go and game FAQs.
You, Dave, I didn't need to do that. We've already been over this. But it's
you admitted it several times, so I don't know why you keep putting up this false story that you didn't check Wikipedia or whatever it was. Wikipedia. You know what I mean?
Wikipedia.
Game facts.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth persevering though. Right, Sean, is it?
Yeah, I really like it. Thematically and in terms of world building, it doesn't come close to the first one. Famously, basically, half the game is only necessary because of a bit of rubble that you can't jump over. That's the only thing that blocks you, and you have to take a different route, which requires you to get items and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but does that rubble have amazing lore?
It does. Sure. There's literally no lore attached to the rubble. There's one bit where you get in a lift, and then it travels up for a very long time, and when you come out, everywhere is filled with lava. And you're like, what? That doesn't... Wouldn't all the lava go down? Fuck it, whatever. Things like that, we used to hang on, that's a bit shit. And there are sections where it's they just wanted to basically copy a bit from Dark Souls. But there's kind of, there's descriptions of some items that sort of they're all things this looks like something you're familiar with, but it's just a shitty copy. And it's is that them trying to be you can't make a good sequel to Dark Souls? It's just not possible. It's only going to come off as a knockoff. But then there are also, there are some smart nods to things from Dark Souls 1. And
then Dark Souls 3 came out and seemed to be a very good sequel to Dark Souls, didn't it?
Which then sort of shits on the whole, you can't do a good Dark Souls sequel. So, you can.
See... I'm also concerned that, the character build that I've worked up is no good, or I'm just going to make bad decisions then end up in a situation.
One thing I really like about Dark Souls 2 is it's much more fluid with that stuff. Dark Souls 1, you pretty much have one or maybe two weapons that you work towards being good at. Whereas with Dark Souls 2, I had so I'd set my character up so I could be sword and shield, sword, two-handed, two swords, or just with a bow or whatever. It just felt loads more open in terms of what you can do with your character. So I really enjoyed that because it was all different types of enemies. Right, fuck it, I'll go two swords on this guy or whatever. That was really cool, and that's something you don't get. Going back to the first one, it's the first one feels really sort of rigid in comparison. The other thing with Dark Souls 2 is when it came out, it was fuck me, the online stuff works. Which was a major leap at the time. But yeah, no, I like it. I think it doesn't deserve anywhere near as much of a kicking as it gets, I think, from a lot of people.
I'll tell you what, the 60 frames per second on PS4 is really nice. It's really smooth. To play.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go back and I'll keep going at it and see where I get.
Some of the you've got Scholar of the First Sin. You've got, isn't it? The sort of rejigged with all the DLC. Yeah, definitely one of the 3 DLC bits is one of my all-time favourite Souls areas. So that's definitely worth doing.
Okay, Matt.
I guess I'll be quick. I played the Captain Toad Treasure Tracker demo. I suppose you guys.
Let's go in depth into the demo of a game that came out on the Wii U. Let's really go in depth in it.
I'm playing the Wii U version. Twat.
Okay. How was the demo, anyway, Matt? How was the 3 levels?
I thought I was really going to be blown away by it in some way. It was fun, the levels. I presume obviously they get like super, super tricky, and I didn't really want to finish until I'd 100% in the demo, but yeah.
You said something weird in our chat. You said, it was quite difficult to 100%. It wasn't, was it?
No, I didn't say it hard. I said I didn't finish until I 100% in it.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
No, because
we've
been playing that. We've been playing that.
Yeah, it didn't blow me away like I thought it would, but it was. You guys all think it's amazing, right? From Wii U,
I really loved it. Yeah,
yeah. And are any of you getting it again on Switch?
I'm tempted. I mean,
does it have new stuff or not?
Well, apparently some stuff.
There's new levels.
There's new levels, but some stuff's missing, right? Because the Wii U one had some of the levels from Mario 3D World that inspired it.
That's what I've taken out, and it's got Mario Odyssey stuff instead.
Yeah, well, it's fair trade. It's just weird that they wouldn't include it all. I don't know.
Maybe it'll come as DLC.
Probably, yeah. 18 quid. But no, I love the fact that so it gets a lot of comparisons to Monument Valley, and I really like the fact that Monument Valley's cool because all the spaces and the worlds that you move through in that are they're impossible. They're sort of weird, sort of Escher type. Physically impossible structures and shapes and stuff. Whereas Captain Toad is cool because actually you can imagine it all. It all makes sense physically. It could function as a little toy or something. And there's all the these fucking little moving parts and secret compartments and stuff. And it all makes physical sense, and that's why it's interesting. Yeah, I like it.
It's really satisfying to go through and to find out what you need to do to complete a level, and then because it felt also a bit like you had to try and then failed and then restart to make sure you 100% the whole thing in one go. But no, it's really satisfying. It looks gorgeous as well.
Yeah.
I've only played on docked mode, but it looks absolutely great. Cool. I also downloaded the Shining Resonance Refrain demo because I was. Well, it may surprise many listeners. I was a huge Shining Force and Shining Wisdom fan when I was younger on the Saturn. And I was I should have known before I started, but for some reason in my head I thought, oh, brilliant, this would be another turn-based RPG. But no, this isn't. This is it's a real-time sort of real-time action battle or whatever they call it, role-playing game.
Real-time action battle, yeah.
Yeah, I went through the demo and it was fine, but it certainly wasn't enough to. It wasn't enough to keep me going. This is actually a remake. I thought it was a new game, but it's just a remaster of some PS3 game called Shining Resonance. Refrain mode isn't actually in the demo. It's just the standard Shining Resonance mode. But it was fine. I really wanted a turn-based RPG, but this was not it.
Is this out yet?
Nothing is out in July.
Right. Okay.
But so I finished that, and that wasn't what I wanted. But then I suddenly then wanted a turn-based role-playing game. So I got the Banner Saga, which I've seen loads about over the past few years. I think it came out on PC ages ago. But the first, I think there's 3, or the third one's coming in July. First 2 are actually out now on Switch, and so I got that, and I'm really, really impressed with it so far. I've gone suddenly just to want to play this quite in-depth turn-based role-playing game, but I'm really enjoying it being as well. The game apparently is only 10 or so hours, so I'm already quite happy with that. The fact it's not, I don't have to put 20 or 30 or 40 plus hours into this role-playing game. There are you can do there's a side quest stuff, I believe, but 10 hours or so will get me through the first one. Obviously, Banner Saga 2 is also currently out, and the third one comes out in July. But yeah, so it's a turn-based role-playing game. You have different number of members in your party. When you're attacking, I think one of the things this game does differently is that it's not just attacking. You can also attack an enemy's armor, and if you take the armor down, you can then do greater attacks on against their attack, if you know what I mean. So do you try and do loads of damage to them and take their health down in much bigger chunks, or do you try and take their armor down, which then reduces their damage output? And I think that's really interesting. A big part of this game actually is this ongoing travel across this huge map, where you're basically gathering tons and tons of defenders and tons of party members in this huge caravan of people, which you go across the map, and even that actually introduces some interesting concepts. A couple of days ago I was playing, and when you're going across the map, and it tells you basically how many days this travel is going to take you. It also shows you your supplies going down, and with supplies going down, people then die off, and then the amount of people you have at your disposal dwindles. But there's loads of decisions you've got to make along the way, not just when you're traveling, but also during the game. There's big like conversation trees and whatnot. But one I did the other day was like the caravan spread out, and my options were: do I like call for an early stop to a day, and if I stop early, essentially I'm going to use supplies, and also people might attack me on the way. I could slow the pace, but if I slowed the pace, I didn't have enough supplies to keep me going all the way to my destination, and therefore people would die again. Do I keep a steady pace, but then the people at the back would be killed off? Or do I rally the caravan and have a big speech? And I did the rallying, and then everyone's like, yeah, Matt, you are the best leader, and we got to our destination. But even those like would be quite simplistic and potentially quite boring traveling sections in between locations have their own interesting scenarios, and I'm really appreciating that. I think it's really, really well written. For the first time in ages, I feel like you can probably like argue it, or have a conversation, but try and get your point across. Unlike, say, Life is Strange, where you had that stupid, I can't remember what it's called, but Life is Strange, where you had basically that mechanic where you were trying to argue your way into a conversation, and you had like
before the storm,
which I thought was pretty stupid really. But this one, awful, I had this scenario where basically we're fighting outside these gates. There's loads of us in this area, inside the city. Some of the people were going to attack us, and one of the members of my party said, well, we should probably create a distraction. If we do that, then we'll cause a distraction, everyone else can leave, and that's fine. But I looked at the supplies I had, and essentially, if we were to leave now, we would lose all the supplies we had stuck in this other part of the town, basically. And so the options are: we can either fight them now, we can cause a distraction, or we can leave. And if we leave, we have no food. Most of the party is going to die off. And I think ordinarily in any other game, the options were fight, distraction, or leave. And then whatever you choose, that's it, and you've made a decision. I think I basically questioned the fact I didn't really want to create a distraction. I really wanted the food, and that in itself also created more branching paths. And like 2 or 3 of the people in the conversation agreed with me, one other didn't. But I could keep like pushing the point, and say, look, I really don't think we should cause a distraction now. We need this food. And it felt like a good conversation, a bit of an argument versus just literally a binary. You chose option A, therefore we go with option A, etc., etc. I feel like I could keep pushing my agenda in this case to get the food. So I think it's way better than Life is Strange in that regard. It feels much more conversational, much less just mechanics, just getting in the way of what would ordinarily be a quite natural conversation. I was really in the mood for a turn-based strategy, and it's really scratching that itch for me. I think I should get it finished this week, actually, and I'm eager to start the second one. But cool. I think I asked you guys in a WhatsApp in a week, but I mean, I loved the old Shining Force games. They were turn-based strategy. I know Shining Wisdom was like a Zelda-like RPG, but the best like turn-based strategy over the last few years, is it the Fire Emblem games?
It's Fire Emblem.
Yeah, okay.
Or probably XCOM.
I mean, I was excited anyway for that, but
yeah, XCOM as well.
Do you know what else? I mean, I know we're giving you far too much stuff to play here, but I'm pretty sure it was on Games with Gold. Massive Chalice. I don't know if you've got it.
Oh yeah, the
Double Fine.
That game.
It's sort of it's fantasy turn-based strategy, but played over like centuries, and you're like. It's this sort of slightly creepy eugenics thing where you like pairing people up and be like, right, you're good at this, you two have kids, and you form like a house. And then it's all about sort of managing these like lineages of all your different fighters and stuff, and like trying to sort of crossbreed them in ways that sort of benefit you. Kind of really creepy, but really interesting, and it knows how creepy it is. Like, it is quite grim, but yeah, really fucking interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna see how it looks. I mean, one other thing about the Banner Saga is that it looks absolutely gorgeous. I mean, all the cut scenes, but also like just the bits which are on the battle scenes, basically are these really well animated. It could be like a film in itself, like really well. I mean, I'm not really sure what sort of style you describe it as, but it's an animated style. I mean, there's actually minimal movement within each scene, but just like the writing and the way it's drawn and illustrated is really lovely. And you can like zoom in and zoom out the battlefield when you're actually fighting as well, and you can see the detail there.
Cool.
So have you played it, Sean?
I've played a bit on PC, and then it was one of these that when it came out on Switch, it's like, right, I'll actually play it on the Switch, so that's definitely happening.
Because I'm not sure if it's just a trilogy. I know they've announced a third one for July, and I know my choices from this first one going to the second and going to the third one. So, and because I think they're all around 10 to 15 hours each, so I'm glad to start at the first, and I intend to carry it through. But I've been playing a fair bit on both docked with the Pro Controller, but also handheld. Yeah, I'm loving it so far.
Cool.
And that's pretty much it.
Cool. That was a good old selection of games there, I feel.
Yeah.
And I didn't even mention the game that I've played the most this week, but I'll mention that next week because I'd have a lot more to say about it.
What game is it?
A little bit of a tease. It's Lego The Incredibles, Matt. I'll talk about that next week. Okay. Have we got time for questions, you think?
Do you want me to do a couple of short ones?
Yeah.
Got an email from Fraser. He says, I've not played either game. However, isn't it interesting, James saying that the pacing in Detroit is too slow when he also told David that he needs to play at least 20 plus hours of Yakuza to get into it? What makes the difference?
Fucking good point.
What makes the difference is that Detroit is crap, whereas Yakuza is a good game.
I'd agree, right? Detroit, I didn't get on with that, but you were saying quite early on that it's so slow, but whatever you think of Yakuza, that is fucking slow, especially at the start.
Yeah, but at least what you're doing
sitting back watching cutscenes. Yeah.
No, it's not just sitting back watching cutscenes. There's loads of things to do in that world, like compared with this.
Not for the first 3 hours, James.
There is.
No, there isn't.
Come on. Okay, if you only focus on just going from story event to story event, then yeah, of course it's going to be like that. If you just take some time to explore, it's nothing. They're not in any way
Well, I've
comparable.
bought
mate,
so
in the first 2 hours,
Zero and Kiwami have both been on sale, and I've bought them both.
Yeah.
So
play Zero.
It's
the one.
I'm looking forward to it.
James, in the first couple of hours, you're walking down alleyways with big neon "You're not allowed down here" signs everywhere.
It's not like that.
It is like that.
It's
it's fucking like that. At the start of the game, that's what the game is.
For some parts of it, but there's other things to do as well. And I don't want to get into this again. It's ridiculous. There's no way that you can compare those two games. It's ridiculous.
All right. Go on.
All right.
I thought it was a fair point.
Well, so we've got Ben Monroe. By the way, I forgot to do the bit. I'm new to this. If you want to email us, it's the computer show. Sorry, the fucking hell. The computer game show at gmail.com.
Just go to the internet and put in computer show.
Yep,
we'll be there.
Computer podcast. Ben Moreau says, hey guys, there was quite a bit of chat during this year's E3 about game subscription services. EA are adding different tiers to theirs, and Microsoft talked a lot about improving upon the current catalogue. There have even been rumours surrounding Sony's own service allowing users to not only stream their games but also download and keep them, which we now know is not just a rumour. How long do you think we have until all games are played this way, where none of us actually own either physical or digital games, where consoles no longer have disc drives, video games on the high street are a thing of the past? Love the E3 show. Ubisoft really need to make that Splinter Cell game. Cheers, Ben.
I don't know.
I still don't see it. I mean, all right, on live tanked. And it looks like EA and stuff are thinking, okay, maybe it's time to have another crack at it. But I don't nothing's really changed in terms of broadband infrastructure.
It's the infrastructure is the problem. It's I don't see this happening for at least not next generation, but maybe the generation after.
It's all 20 years, right?
Yeah, because you've got, especially in the US, there's all caps, and you've got net neutrality and all that kind of thing. It's not going to happen.
I guess so how many years ago was on live? 5-6 years ago, something like that. And I mean, okay, so the rollout of fibre has continued, but it's mainly just sort of rural areas and stuff that have been playing catch up. It's most people have had it for most of that time, and it's not. Yeah, things haven't really improved all that much, I don't think.
No, and you've got the whole... I mean, isn't it they're saying that for AAA games, they're looking at around 50% of... even it was 60% of those games are bought digitally rather than physically. Still fucking 40% of physical sales that they don't want to chuck in the bin just yet. Do you know what I mean? That's a lot of money.
And like, you forget, like, obviously, you know, we're in a bit of a bubble in that we forget there are people who, if a game isn't in a shop, they don't know it exists. Like, and they make up a fair old proportion of people who play games. So yeah, I mean, you know, we often, when game are in the news, it's usually because they've done something stupid or shitty, and we're just like, oh, do we even fucking need them? And you know, maybe we don't, but a lot of people still do.
Yeah, I mean, this week an analyst said that by 2022 he expects gaming to be 100% download only, and I think everyone laughed him out of Twitter.com. I think we're
4 years' time. I don't think we're quite there yet. But you never know. You just never know what's around the corner.
Yeah. I will say, like, so post 2 years, like, I want to play a new game, and I was interested in this turn-based strategy, but I was almost overwhelmed with choice. I've got all the games on, like, PS Plus, all the games with gold stuff. I've probably got, like, some Twitch Prime subscription because they give you monthly games now. I've got, like, hundreds of games in Humble Bundles. Like, where do I even bloody start?
Well, yeah.
It's annoying, isn't it?
So you could... Well, you could argue just like you live off that. I think if you wanted to.
It's like we said before. It's like, you know, if you'd have told me when I was a kid that by now I'd have more games than I'd ever be able to play. You'd never believe it. You know, it's just.
You think like, oh, that sounds great. But no, it's shit, mate. It's fucking bollocks.
Yeah. I always think back to that time when I had my N64 and I had one of those cartridge holders from the N64 magazine. It was on one of them. It's like this little plastic thing that you put your cartridges in. It had 6 slots in it. Never filled it. It always like, depressed me. Every time I wanted a new game, about 3 of them had to be sold. It's always a really horrible sight.
Right, I'll do a couple of tweets. If you want to tweet us, at Computer Game Pod on Twitter. Luke Summerhays at Busker Lily says, overall this E3 felt like a big waste of my time. I'm considering next year taking the time off the internet along with whichever one of you does it and just getting all my news from the pod. Is that mental? Well, it is, because we lie about stuff. So that's
I reckon I want people to do that. That's a fun way to listen to the show, isn't it? I think it's a fun way to do it.
Can we do a thing where whoever like agrees to take the time off, like I'm allowed like a WhatsApp group with them, and and we can just chat to each other like, what do you think's going on the internet,
these people? There's no way I'm trusting someone with that.
You've got to do a stream where you delete everything and eat your sim, chuck your phone out the window.
You didn't eat your sim. You should have eaten
your sim. I was so close, Dave. You don't know how fucking close I was to eating a sim.
That's my only concern about having to take time off next year. Is how am I going to top Matt's leaving the internet stream? I'm going to have to think of something good.
I'm a dickhead, Sean.
I don't know, but I'm sure the video will be on DataBeast.
Yeah, mate.
Twitch.com.
YouTube.com/DataBeast. Nearly up to 300 subscribers, lads. It's doing good. So we got Thomas at LlamaFluff42 says, what are your views on betas? Having played the Crew 2 open beta, I'm cancelling my pre-order. Is it counterproductive to release a beta, essentially a demo, so close to the release date? I mean, we've said this before, haven't we, that calling them betas is usually sort of bollocks. It's just like, by calling it a beta, it's like people are like, oh, I'm like testing the game for them. It's like I'm on the inside. It's cool. It's like, no, you're just playing a demo. It's marketing, mate. Come on.
This is my career now. There's like, I don't know, they've not been worked. It didn't work for Onrush. Yeah. I don't think it worked for Mario Tennis. I think the lag put a lot of people off.
It's sold all right.
I think the beta has happened where I'm like, this is amazing. I don't have to play anymore. There's probably been some, but
I think there's been more instances where, like, even if I've enjoyed a beta, I'm just a bit like, well, I don't need to buy the game now. Beta was good, and I'm all right. Yeah.
I've not had
like Sea of Thieves. You know, you could have played that.
Jesus,
you know what the game is.
Yeah, actually, the beta and Sea of Thieves, that worked really well because a lot of people were like, "This is really good. I can't wait to see what the rest of the game is like." There's no rest of the game. There was no rest of the game.
That's it.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for living it, everyone. I've really enjoyed this show. And you know, when you win E3, time's good. Times are good. Yeah. All right. Good. We'll catch you next week.
Well, I've got a social bit, Dave.
I thought you said you didn't like doing that anymore.
Yeah, we've got stuff to say. Like the Kickstarter ends in 9 days.
The Kickstarter does not end in 9 days. Now, today would usually be the time where I remind you that we have a tip jar because we've done a month of podcasting, and I'm asking for a tip. Not going to do that. I'm not going to ask you to go to what's the thing, Matt? bit.com. Is it paypal.me/computer game show? I'm not going to ask you to do that. I'm going to ask you to spend a lot more money on a t-shirt, okay? That you'd be embarrassed to wear out the house. I shouldn't have said that. I understand I shouldn't have said that, Matt. I'm sorry.
What sales,
the amount of work's going into this, and you just fucked it. Anyway, 9 days to go. There's the pinned tweet to the top of our Twitter account. Go to twitter.com/computergamepod or just search for us on Kickstarter. Yeah, you can get a lovely polo embroidered or printed t-shirt. They look great. Buy two together, save a bit of money. That ends in 9 days. Also, now this podcast is now on Google Podcasts. If you've got Google finally released a podcast app, finally, it's pretty bare bones, but it does the job. You can search for Computer Game Show there. And also, if you've got Google Assistant at home speakers, you can search for us on there as well.
I was just going to say, I've not tried it yet. Should we have a go now live on air?
We can do. I mean...
have a go what? Sorry? Oh, Google thing.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, give it a go.
Hey, Google, play the Computer Game Show podcast.
All right, playing the latest episode of the Computer Game Show, the Computer Game Show 108 E3 2018, telling Murray.
Amazing. Nice. It worked. Yeah, so...
hey, Google, stop.
Yeah, please stop it. We're
clear history.
And we're on HomePod, but basically I went into John Lewis the other day to test it, and it doesn't play explicit stuff, so maybe. But yeah, basically we're everywhere, of course. We're on Twitch Prime. We're on Twitch, so if you've got a Twitch Prime account, please sub us. We've got Discord, we're on Spotify, everywhere. We really appreciate your Apple Podcast or iTunes reviews, and that's about it. Thank you.
Everywhere. Thanks for living it. We'll catch you next week. I love you all. Goodbye.
Cheers.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.